What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
15 Shish. Chapter 361 The Second Gear Hockey. The Existence Beyond Common Sense. Wish card. Chen looked at the black card in front of him. Couldn't help but quickly took it and looked at it carefully. Excited heart trembling hands, this is the first time he has received a black reward. And it is also a customized ability upgrade card. Chen quickly fell into quick thinking. This level of reward is naturally the sooner the better. And his current most powerful ability is Uchiha Obito's character template. Upgrade the Uchiha Obito character template. Ding. Uchiha Obito character template detected as a god level skill. The ability upgrade task will reach the highest level, hell level. Close black lens bracket. The upgrade fails if the task is not completed. Uchiha Obito character template has been reduced from god level skills to rare skills. Open black lens bracket is the host shirt to upgrade. Close black lens bracket. Chen looked at the open black lens bracket, yes, close black lens bracket, and open black lens bracket, no, close black lens bracket in front of him, and hesitated. He thought that the task would be difficult, but he did not expect the difficulty to be directly full. Especially, 210, is that after the mission fails, the golden reward will be directly lowered to a purple reward. This is obviously not acceptable to Chen. But obviously, Chen was mentally prepared for this. From a long time ago, Chen has thought about a big thing. If it can be successful, not only can it greatly strengthen the pirate group and its own combat power, it may even break the balance of power in the pirate world. His mind moved, and he called out the system again. Upgrade. Hockey. That's right. What Chen thought about before was whether he could borrow the power of the system. Upgrade the hockey system unique to pirate world. In the face of ordinary enemies, hockey of any kind can make a huge difference. And this is also the potential power possessed by all humans in the world of One Piece. As long as you are willing to practice hard, you will surely awaken hockey one day sooner or later. But after practicing to a certain extent, hockey will always remain in this state. Want to get more powerful hockey power? It is only possible in a state of extreme combat beyond life and death. And Chen thinks more. Conqueror's hockey and observation hockey of the highest order are acquired by talent. Higher in nature than armament hockey and normal observation hockey. Already the strongest fighting force in the pirate world. Belongs to the ceiling level. If it can be upgraded again on this basis, then it may have different effects when facing other enemies. Open black lens bracket. Ding. Hockey system is exclusive to pirate world. Close black lens bracket. The system is calculating all upgrade possibilities. Maybe because it's too unique. The system remained silent for a full 5 minutes. Just when Chen was about to give up and choose to upgrade other abilities, the system beep finally sounded. Open black lens bracket. Calculation passed. Hockey system can be upgraded. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket after using the wish card. Close black lens bracket. The hockey system will be upgraded to second gear. Open black lens bracket. Second gear armament hockey. Close black lens bracket. Armament hockey can be condensed into a real weapon. Greatly increase damage to all fruit abilities. Can be overlaid on any weapon or skill. Those who have practiced to the highest level can simulate the Seastone effect. Open black lens bracket. Temporarily seal the ability of the attacked person. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Second gear observation hockey. Close black lens bracket. Future vision can be temporarily turned on. Enhanced perception of enemy weaknesses can temporarily shock the enemy's mind. Note. Observation hockey, the second highest level, will receive crisis induction. You will receive a reminder from the future when you are maliciously watched. And the future seen by future vision can be modified. Open black lens bracket. Second gear conquerors hockey. Close black lens bracket. The spirit can be retracted and released freely. During the battle, the spirit will exert pressure and shock on the place on its own. Those who are not mentally stable will be hurt more seriously. Those with weaker minds can surrender or surrender directly. Note. All second-grade hockey can effectively defend against mental erosion and other similar abilities. The actual defense ability is determined by the ability of the person who has the ability. Too strong. After Chen quickly read all the introductions of hockey in the second gear, there is only one thought left in my mind, regardless of any attribute. The second gear hockey is completely in a state of rolling over ordinary hockey. Predictably, after having the second gear hockey, 7 warlords of the sea and vice admiral's ability, the threat to Chen will be greatly reduced. If more people beat less people, plus various fruit abilities complement each other, Chen does have a certain chance of failure. But at least life can be guaranteed. No matter how bad it is, you can successfully retreat. Confirm upgrade. 9. Open black lens bracket. Ding. Wish card takes effect. Close black lens bracket. System. Customize the Luffy training plan. Let Luffy open the second gear hockey first. Open black lens bracket. Ding. Training plan has been drawn up. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Training object. Monkey D. Luffy. Close black lens bracket. Training target. Master second gear armament hockey. Training plan. Challenge one of the 7 warlords of the sea alone and successfully defeat the other. Lu Chen actually thought about asking Luffy to upgrade all 3 Hakis to the second gear 0. But he knows the temper of the system, this kind of reward will definitely greatly increase the difficulty of the task. Maybe Luffy will have to take on one of the 4 emperors. The meal has to be eaten one bite at a time, and the road has to be taken step by step. But when he saw that the training mission was to challenge the 7 warlords of the sea, Lu Chen immediately thought of Ming Di. Ah, no, it's Brother Ming. After successfully capturing Guy, Doflamingo's plan to supply Kaido with an artificial devil fruit also went bankrupt. If nothing else, Doflamingo will be there in person. Attack the Straw Hat Pirates and Trafalgar Law. It's really sleepy. There's a pillow. Lu Chen smiled indifferently. Just now I'm going to trouble Brother Ming, so let Luffy do the task by the way. 35. In the original world line, Doflamingo can be said to be one of the most powerful people in the 7 warlords of the sea. String fruit is a huge hassle for most fruit users. And Luffy's rubber is at a distinct disadvantage against Doflamingo. If it weren't for his own training to help Luffy grow quickly, it's really not easy for him to defeat Brother Ming head to head. The winning rate is at most 3 to 7. At this time, Trafalgar Law, who had destroyed the sad manufacturing room, also returned to the Straw Hats. Is Luffy 1.3 all right? Trafalgar Law was a little worried about Luffy. He's fine, and Guy's here too. While talking, Lu Chen also handed over Guy who was trapped by the seastone chain to Luo. Luo didn't hesitate, and directly used room, slaughterhouse, to take out Guy's heart. Guy's life is still useful, but don't let him die now. I'll get in touch with Doflamingo first and get him ready to retire from 7 warlords of the sea. Quote. Guy saw on the side heard this, and the gas around him gradually condensed into question marks one by one. He summed up all the information he had heard and took a good look at it. But still can't guess what Lu Chen and Trafalgar Law mean. What's going on? Isn't Doflamingo undercover for this red-eye trainer? Law used my heart to threaten Doflamingo's withdrawal from 7 warlords of the sea. Wait, don't you say. Chapter 362 Facing the Second Gear Haki. Zoro Sanji vs Virtual Luffy. Don't tell me, a lightning flashed in Guy's heart, as if he was about to guess the truth. Red-eyed trainer not only wants to deal with Kaido, but also wants to conquer Trafalgar Law. It could even be the big man behind Trafalgar Law. Guy Saw admits that this guess is very bold, but he also believes that this statement is the real purpose of Lu Chen. Is it possible that this red-eyed trainer is actually a subordinate of a certain 4 emperors? Everything he did was to destroy the other 4 emperors. The more Guy Saw thought about it, the more frightened he became, and the more he guessed, the more outrageous he became. He was even thinking about which 4 emperors had such ambition and strength. Unfortunately, he still doesn't know it. Lu Chen just said it casually. The words are divided into 2 parts. After Lu Chen saw that Luo had gone to prepare to contact Doflamingo with the phone bug, also called in the other Straw Hat Pirates, the second-grade Haki ability that has just been successfully upgraded is described in detail. In order to prevent everyone from having no actual concept of the second-grade Bao-2 gas, he also took his partners into the imagination space. Let the system simulate Luffy of Armament Haki, who has mastered the second gear. Sanji, Zoro, you can feel the strength of the second gear Haki yourself. As soon as the words fell, Sanji and Zoro couldn't wait to come to the virtual Luffy. Are you guys my enemies? The virtual Luffy looked at the 2 with a gloomy look. Hey, it doesn't look good. Sanji lit up with demonic feet. Yeah, this sense of oppression is too strong, it's not like Luffy can achieve it at all. Zoro didn't dare to neglect, and directly pulled out Kaden Kyokutsu. Virtual Luffy sees the duo when they're ready. Directly open the second gear armament Haki. In an instant, an inexplicable pressure emerged from the virtual Luffy. And his hands were gradually wrapped in a set of transparent fists. It seems that this is the weapon condensed from the second gear armament Haki. The rubber, virtual Luffy strikes first, shotgun. His attack is very fast, but fortunately Zoro has improved a lot after training. Kaden Kyokutsu took every punch from Luffy without fail. Devil's Foot. Grade 1 ground meat. Sanji quickly approached Luffy from the other direction and attacked. Instead of dodging, Luffy took the move head-on with armament Haki in second gear. Sanji's demonic feet kept getting closer to Luffy. But in the end, he failed to break through the defense and stopped about 10 centimeters away from Luffy's body. It's not over yet. Seeing that he couldn't hurt Luffy at all, Sanji got a little anxious and made a change in the air. Devil's Foot. The highest grade ground meat. The burning red feet kicked Luffy continuously at super high speed, forcing Luffy to temporarily drop his attack on Zoro. But he didn't move his footsteps, instead he directly faced Sanji with offense instead of defense. Rubber, machine gun. Super speed vs super speed. Luffy's fist and Sanji's diabolical feet collide back and forth. At the beginning, the 2 sides were not even close. But only after attacking each other a dozen times. The red flames on Sanji's feet gradually dimmed. Go upstairs. A slash from Zoro helps Sanji defuse the crisis just in time. Is this the power of the second gear Haki? Sanji couldn't help wiping the cold sweat from his face. If Zoro hadn't reacted in time just now, he would have interrupted Luffy's combo. I'm afraid I have to withdraw from the battle now. His gloves can weaken the fruit, almost like a weakened version of Seastone. Sanji reminded Zoro. If we are repeatedly attacked by the glove, I am afraid that we will temporarily lose the ability to fruit. It can be said that for Sanji, who mostly attacked with his bare hands, the second gear armament haki is a bit too sloppy. You fight him, and your ability will be temporarily sealed. If you say no, then it is impossible for others to white hits himself, and the fruit ability will also receive a seal. And Zoro with Kaden Kyokutsu doesn't have these concerns. After all, he is not a fruit person, and his strength is all acquired step by step through the practice of splitting mountains and seas. Ah, I see, but, the stronger the second grade haki, the stronger we learn in the future, right? 39. Although Zoro is very afraid of the powerful combat power of virtual Luffy. But there was a smile on his lips that couldn't be concealed. As a fighting maniac who yearns for strength and aims to become the best swordsman in the world since childhood, Zoro is full of interest in every formidable opponent. What's more, the second gear haki will eventually become their own ability. In other words, the stronger the virtual Luffy at the moment, the stronger they will be in the future. I'll be the main attack next. Sanji, you cooperate with me to harass. Without waiting for Sanji to reply, Zoro came to the virtual Luffy with a flash. Perhaps it was Zoro's combat power that made him not dare to underestimate. Virtual Luffy directly spreads the second gear armament haki all over the body. Rubber, siege gun. 39. 2 swordsmanship, 2 slashes. In terms of pure attribute restraint, a big swordsman like Zoro is obviously very restrained by Luffy's rubber ability. But the existence of the second gear armament haki. Even Zoro has a weapon like Kaden Kyokutsu. It was also completely unable to cut off Luffy's fist. In the nearby spectator seats, Nami, Robin and the others' faces gradually became solemn. They couldn't help but wonder if it wasn't Zoro and Sanji who were now facing virtual Luffy. But it is themselves, then how much chance they can win. This is actually just the initial state of armament haki in the second gear. While drinking a drink, Chen was doing science popularization to his friends with a leisurely look. At this stage, unless the upper realm of armament haki has been reached. Otherwise it's basically impossible to break armament haki in second gear. Watch the 3-man battle below. Chen was also delighted in his heart. Anyway, the ability that Luffy and the others learned, Chen, can also be used. If each partner can successfully learn, perhaps his combat power can have a qualitative leap. Kamui space plus second gear haki. No matter what type of opponent, Chen can have a fight. Devil's foot, fried assorted platter. See Zoro in a tough fight. Sanji tries to kick Luffy into the air with his demonic feet. Then team up with Zoro for an aerial combo to defeat Luffy in one fell swoop. Facing the combined attack of Zoro and Sanji, the virtual Luffy also moved his legs for the first time. If you only have such strength. The indifferent voice suddenly sounded. That's probably not my opponent. Chapter 363 Luffy in Retreat, Burning Iron Pan Spectrum. I saw that the virtual Luffy suddenly turned on the third gear mode at the same time. His right fist started to grow sharply. More and more second gear armament haki started to attach to the fist. A huge coercion hit Zoro and Sanji. Although the two are very firm in mind, in the face of such a powerful force, there was still a trace of unease in his heart. Rubber, grizzly gun. Perhaps the ability of the second gear armament haki is beyond common sense. From the change of the test space, the ground, which should have a very high protection ability, began to have some cracks. Seeing this scene, Chen couldn't help being shocked. Perhaps, second gear haki's abilities far exceeded his original expectations. In the face of this simple but extremely damaging attack, Sanji Zoro's fighting spirit also peaked. Don't think about it, if you can't catch the virtual Luffy at this moment. They will lose. Devil's Foot. Sanji decides to use his strongest attack, Spectrum for Burning Iron Pan. 35. The feet were burning with red flames, and the continuous ultra-high-speed kicks even emitted a strong colorful light. 3 swords. Extreme Tiger Hunt. I saw a flash of sword light. Zoro came first, came to Sanji and launched a final attack on the hill-like fist in front of him. Boom. 3 powerful energies caused a shock in the test space. If it wasn't for the protection of the spectator seats, the members of the Straw Hats would have been blown away. Is this really the combat power we can burst out at this stage? Chopper's trembling voice resounded in everyone's ears. Not only the second gear armament haki, Sanji and Zoro's outstanding performance also amazed other partners. The smoke gradually dissipated, and Sanji and Zoro had fallen unconscious on the ground. And the virtual Luffy didn't look very well, and there were many scars all over his body. After all, this Luffy is only armament haki in the second gear of Master. It was clear that the strongest blow against Sanji and Zoro in the primary stage could not be completely harmless. But the outcome of this mock battle is already clear. Zoro and Sanji even showed their 100% strength. Still can't beat virtual Luffy. Everyone suddenly saw a flower, and then they stood on the Thousand Sunny with their feet on the ground. Chen came to the unconscious too, and found out after careful inspection. Zoro and Sanji are only temporarily in a coma due to overexertion. But just in case, he still asked Frank, Usopp and others to send them to the infirmary. Let Chopper confirm if anything unexpected happens. Chen, Luffy couldn't hide the smile on his face, and Kakuzu's mouth was about to go to the corner of his eyes. It can be seen that he is quite satisfied with the actual combat ability displayed by Haki in the second gear. After all, although it was a virtual one, he defeated both Sanji and Zoro in a head-to-head confrontation. Can I really control that kind of unrivaled power? Of course you can, Lu Chen replied with a smile, even when you're skilled. The power you can exert will far exceed the virtual image just now. I've made your training plan. You just need to defeat any of the 7 warlords of the sea alone. The second gear armament hockey can be turned on. Robin frowned slightly when he heard the training content. 7 warlords of the sea are all good players, just in terms of combat power. I'm afraid that Luffy's win rate may not be half as good now. However, doesn't it happen that we have an ally of the 7 warlords of the sea by our side? While thinking about it, he turned his eyes to the end of the call. Return to Trafalgar Law next to the Straw Hats. Luo suddenly felt cold behind his back, and a chill without warning made his nerves tense. But this feeling came and went quickly. Because Robin also knows, if please let him let loose and lose to Luffy. I'm afraid it's not just the inability to help Luffy open the second gear armament hockey. And it will also cause Luffy's own dissatisfaction. I have contacted Doflamingo. 35. After tomorrow, he will be out of 7 warlords of the sea. In exchange, we're sending Guy to Dressrosa. 35. After removing his unpleasantness, Luo informed the Straw Hats of his next destination. As a crossover, Lu Chen knew their next fight would be against Doflamingo. Although Luo's ultimate goal is to kill one of the 4 emperors. But he chose to kill Kaido in the end, which actually has a lot to do with Doflamingo. Luo was able to go from that hairy boy to where he is now. Doflamingo's younger brother Rocinante contributed. Not only saved Luo's life, but also successfully helped Luo escape. In the end, he was killed by his brother Doflamingo. Luo, who has always regarded Rocinante as a savior, naturally cannot easily let Doflamingo go. After a brief exchange, Lu Chen informed Luo of Luffy's training plan. And hoped that when the time comes, Luo can temporarily let go of his resentment. Let Luffy and Doflamingo go head to head. Luo was very surprised that Lu Chen knew his secret. This red-eyed man in black has shown too much advanced knowledge and eccentric abilities during his travels. But he didn't ask, who wouldn't have 1 or 2 little secrets in their hearts. After a little thought, he agreed to Lu Chen's request. Go back to the room and start thinking about how to quickly destroy the artificial zone devil fruit open black lens bracket smile close black lens bracket factory. Before leaving, he also reminded Lu Chen friendly. Backquote. I know you are strong, but Luffy is different. Quote. There is a certain gap in his strength compared to mine. If it's a simple head-to-head confrontation, the odds between me and Doflamingo will be 55 or 46. In fact, these Lu Chen are very clear. In the original, Doflamingo hit very low. Nearly killed Luo, so the top priority now is to find a way to improve Luffy's strength in a short period of time. Now that the training plan is temporarily customized, it may be too late for Luffy master's other new abilities. The journey from Ice and Fire Island to Dressrosa is not too far. Thinking of this, Lu Chen has already made a decision in his heart. Starting today, Luffy has been in retreat with me. 35. If there is anything, go to Robin and Nami to discuss it. The calm and wit of the Robin-Nami duo. It is the only one in the Straw Hat Pirates, so Lu Chen is also happy to be a shopkeeper. After explaining some specific matters, Lu Chen directly brought Luffy back to the training space. 1 minute, Lu Chen said to Luffy, who was in a state of excitement. In these few days, as long as you can last under my attack for 1 minute, it is enough. The 364th chapter is crazy and violent, in an instant, a flame enchantment. You only need to be able to last a minute under my attack. As soon as the words fell, Lu Chen didn't hesitate, and directly opened the second gear. A simple and rigid straight punch came to Luffy in an instant. With a bang sound, Luffy flew several hundred meters backwards. As this the beginning, Luffy rubbed his face that was almost deformed by the beating. You're a sneak attack, Lu Chen. Luffy sensed that Lu Chen had fully entered the fighting state. It also did not dare to neglect, and also opened the second gear mode. Rubber. Using the pillars around the field, Luffy quickly bullied himself up. Spear gun. 35. I have to admit that Luffy's attack speed is very fast, and his feet are like sharp blades pointing straight at Lu Chen. But Lu Chen's reaction is faster. Flame array. In an instant, a flame barrier appeared in front of Lu Chen. Because the Uchiha Obito character template, held by Lu Chen as the strongest form of theory. This flame barrier is extremely strong in terms of sturdiness and damage. For Luffy, heat is his biggest nemesis. So the rubber spear gun was cancelled in time, and the rubber arm was used to change the falling position in midair. Relying on the strong physical fitness brought by the second gear, he came behind Lu Chen in an instant. Rubber hammer. The rolled up hands quickly grabbed Lu Chen 210, then immediately jumped up and smashed Lu Chen to the ground. However, Lu Chen suddenly appeared at Luffy's feet, fire-style boom. The powerful storm and the huge fire snake that followed made Luffy fly away before he could make any evasive action. From the beginning of the battle to the present, only 6 seconds have passed. Lu Chen, you are such a monster. Luffy crawled out of the big pit that was smashed out. Can this also react? 35. It turned out that when Luffy used a rubber hammer, after grabbing Lu Chen used the Kamui space to teleport directly in the air, and immediately launched a counterattack against Luffy. If I can have the strength of you, I must be able to become the Pirate King right away. Lu Chen smiled slightly, and he praised Luffy's optimistic attitude and pursuit of great strength. Come again. Luffy adjusted his breathing a little and turned on second gear again. For him, if he wanted to hold on to this minute in an ordinary state, it would be as hard as the sky. Although the second gear consumes a lot of physical strength and vitality. But it's perfectly fine to stick to 1 minute at a time. ACBD, this time, Lu Chen did not let Luffy initiate the first move, but directly smashed Luffy with a great fireball technique. In fact, Lu Chen is still a bit tied up in this battle. The reason is very simple, the fully formed Uchiha Obito character template directly endows him with exceptionally powerful fighting abilities. Luffy had little parry against this attack from Otherworld. In order to avoid killing Luffy in one move, Lu Chen could only use some C-rank or D-rank ninjutsu. Even B-level ninjutsu he is trying to control the use, or appropriately reduce the input of chakra. Something like 6 paths chakra that can directly make objects collapse. Open black lens bracket Tsukuyomi close black lens bracket can put Luffy into an irresistible situation. Golem lock that can seal even-tailed beasts. Lu Chen didn't dare to take one out. Luffy dodged away from the great fireball as he prepared to counterattack. But he only saw a few strands of black hair flashing in front of his eyes. You're not moving fast enough, Luffy. Before he finished speaking, Lu Chen released wood-style cutting technique at a very close distance. Luffy flew backwards again. Of course, this is not a life and death struggle between enemies. Lu Chen reduced the aggressiveness of the cutting technique, so that Luffy was not penetrated by the branches emerging from all over. Didn't you last even 5 seconds this time? Luffy once again realized the gap between himself and Lu Chen. Although Doflamingo's strength is not as good as mine, it is still fatal to you at this stage. If you can't hold on to me for 1 minute, then your chances of winning are too small. The goal of this training is to exercise your reaction speed and ability to fight attacks. As long as you can resist the onslaught with Doflamingo's string fruit ability. 95. It is possible to turn defeat into victory. After speaking, Lu Chen did not give Luffy any chance to speak, and launched a gorgeous and agile offensive again. 3 days passed in a blink of an eye, and Luffy and Lu Chen never stopped practicing in the training space. And Luffy was beaten for 3 days. It's no exaggeration to say, except for fight freaks, such as Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji. Anyone who played against Lu Chen would probably not be able to stick to it. Lu Chen's strength is really unfathomable, whenever you feel hopeful that you can persevere. In the next second, Lu Chen will use a more powerful attack to shatter your hopes. Take Luffy, for example, whenever he lasted for 10 seconds, Lu Chen would defeat Luffy with a hard-to-defend ult. At the beginning of the period, Luffy would also have a few words with Lu Chen after being knocked into the air to relieve the pressure. But after being beaten so much, Luffy lost the will and strength to speak. My mind is full of thoughts on how to defend just now, and how to deal with the same move next time. In this high-pressure, educational model, Luffy's strength grew rapidly. Almost no less than the 2 years of training in Sabayati Archipelago in the original world line. Of course, even after 3 days passed, Luffy still couldn't stick to the 1-minute time limit. The highest record is only 26 seconds. But that really can't be blamed on Luffy. Because Lu Chen called out Gedo statue directly after the first day of training. Lu Chen's request was simple, Luffy took 3 attacks from Gedo statue first. Or be able to do some damage to Gedo statue. You can train again with Lu Chen. Luffy was very dissatisfied with Lu Chen's arrangement at first. It's okay to beat Lu Chen, after all, this is a bottomless monster. But what does he mean by summoning a strange doll? It doesn't look good, and it doesn't fit the pirate's aesthetic at all. It wasn't until early on the 3rd day that Luffy finally passed the Gedo statue for the first time. Although it was defeated again in the 11th second. And when he was playing against Lu Chen, he was surprised to find that he was able to break through 10 seconds. This made him face Gedo statue. But it's still a great improvement. As a result, Gedo statue approached Luffy with a near teleportation speed. Threatened to smash this puppet within 5 seconds. No way, Gedo statue's slap is not as gentle as bear. A slap to Luffy made him dizzy. Chapter 365 arrived at Dressrosa. Luffy found Sanji as soon as he came out of the training space. No way, Luffy didn't get a drop of water for the past 3 days. Although Lu Chen has also changed a lot of otherworld cuisine. But the amount is too small, it is barely enough to stick between the teeth. For a big eater like him, the various roasted meats and stews made by Sanji are the best food to satisfy the appetite. But Luffy just started thinking about it for a while when Law came to tell everyone about their upcoming Dressrosa. Next, our main purpose is divided into 3. Luo has not been idle these days, integrating the current existing information. First, let Luffy complete the training task and develop the 2nd level Haki ability as soon as possible. Second, we will destroy Smile's manufacturing plant and completely shatter Kaido's idea of enhancing the combat power of Beast's pirates. Third, to overthrow Doflamingo and the Don Quixote family over Dressrosa. Lu Chen pondered for a while. Let Luffy do Doflamingo. Nami, Robin, Zoro and Brook are responsible for taking care of the rest of the manufacturing plant troubles for RO. As for the rest, go help Luffy against the rest of the Don Quixote family. In this battle, I will not take action for the time being. If you get into trouble, or an unexpected enemy appears, I'll use the Kamui space to come here, so let's go all out. In fact, This is also the plan that Lu Chen had already thought of when training Luffy before. Because Lu Chen's current combat power is strong enough, even if the four emperors appear. Lu Chen has also been invincible in one-on-one situations. However, the partners of the Straw Hat Pirates are different, they are now in a period of strength growth. Although it is much stronger than the original world line. But the pirate world itself is as strong as a cloud, and there is a restraint relationship between fruit abilities. In particular, some restraint relationships may not seem obvious at all, but they can easily lead to overturning in the gutter. Just like the original Ace and Akainu, according to the fruit ability, Marineford and Lava fruit both belong to the fire attribute. Really want to fight should be pure strength competition, but in the worldview of pirates. Because the flame temperature of Marineford is not as good as that of Lava fruit. So Ace was completely suppressed and eventually lost to Akainu, and was even beaten to death. As this Dressrosa, it's not like any country we've seen before. Nami couldn't help sighing when he saw everything in front of him. Dressrosa has a very good international reputation and is known as the country of love, passion and toys. But that's just an illusion Doflamingo creates for other world powers. There are countless living dolls living here. At first glance, you may think that this is the black technology of the pirate world. But in reality, these dolls are all living inhabitants. It was transformed by Doflamingo's Kadri, Santang, using the ability of childlike fruits. People who become dolls will lose the ability to speak. At the same time, their original existence will be forgotten by other ordinary people. It can be said that, in addition to the slightly inferior combat ability, Sugar is the most important cadre under Doflamingo. The key to his ability to lead Dressrosa. Just when the members of the Straw Hats were about to leave, Lu Chen suddenly remembered something. Wait, if I remember correctly, I think Fujitora Admiral seems to be in Dressrosa at the moment. 35. Fujitora eats Paramesha gravity fruit, which is almost the ceiling level among all devil fruits. 35. And he himself is a super strong swordsman who is hidden, if he can come to me for training. Thinking of this, Lu Chen couldn't help but feel a little excited. As the partners left one by one, Lu Chen's figure also slowly dissipated, entered the Kamui space, and began to find the location of Fujitora Admiral. After a while, Lu Chen came to a small shop according to the original guide in his mind. Hey, uncle, your luck is really bad today. Just as Lu Chen stepped into the store with one foot, he heard a certain table of customers laughing. Found it. A smile appeared on Lu Chen's mouth. This time it's white. You've lost again, get your money quickly. A few people who don't seem to be easy to mess with are surrounding an uncle. Oh, is it white this time? It seems that my luck is really bad today. 0. Ask for flowers. The uncle wasn't annoyed at all, and obediently took out the money and handed it to them. The few people looked at each other and turned the turntable. Come here, uncle, let's continue playing, you will be able to guess right in a while. Okay, I'll guess white this time. As the dial gradually stops, the pointer points to the white area. Lu Chen found a table and sat down, watching the performances of the people in front of him calmly. Oh, why did it turn black this time? It seems that your goddess of luck hasn't come yet, uncle. Quick, get the money quickly. Just as the uncle was about to pay, Lu Chen's voice rang out. I'm afraid it's not good to bully a blind man like this. What do you think? Hey, boy, what's the matter with you? 0. Seeing that the trick of cheating money was exposed, the faces of these people began to show anger, and they quickly formed 2 buns with cheese for Lu Chen. If you know the relationship, hand over the money and get out, don't let me see you again. What if I don't give it? Lu Chen showed a playful smile. If you don't give it, then you lie down for me. 35. Just when they were about to use force to attack Lu Chen, they found that their arms could not be lifted, as if they weighed thousands of pounds. The next second, these people suddenly lay on the ground, and cracks began to appear on the floor. It was as if something was pressing on them. I didn't expect that a red-eye trainer would also appear on this island. 99. The blind uncle. Oh no, it was Fujitora Admiral who suddenly said. It seems that my goddess of luck is still there. 9. I just wanted to take this opportunity to catch some more famous pirates, but I turned you out. Afterwards, the shop floor couldn't hold up Fujitora's high gravity. Meet me, it's most likely that your goddess of luck has abandoned you. 55. Eventually the ground collapsed, revealing a bottomless hole. And the few unlucky bastards who cheated Fujitora's money before, also disappeared directly from everyone's eyes. In response, Lu Chen just replied lightly. Alright, let me meet you, the super pirate with a bounty of over 1 billion, the red-eye trainer. Chong. Fujitora Admiral frowned slightly. Chapter 366 Battle. Fujitora Admiral. In order to avoid harming innocent people, Fujitora and Lu Chen came to an inaccessible beach. Of all the pirates in Dressrosa, you are probably the most valuable. Fujitora looked at Lu Chen in front of him and said. Since you're here, then the Straw Hats must have arrived on the island. Could it be that you're here to trouble Doflamingo? 5. Lu Chen did not respond to Fujitora's remarks. Fujitora Admiral is also one of the 3 admiral in naval headquarters. They had made such a big noise on Ice and Fire Island before, even though Guy had been hiding well before he spread. But naval headquarters certainly got a lot of news after the battle. Fujitora came this time, probably to save Dressrosa. Escape all residents from Doflamingo's grasp. The second is to capture these evil pirates. Seeing that Lu Chen didn't reply, Tang, 210, who was also rude, and firmly held the stick and knife that were inseparable. A war is imminent. Gravity light. After the two of them sculpted for a while, Fujitora couldn't help but take the lead. He knew that Lu Chen had already made his name in Summit War. The strength is even more unfathomable, so he used his own gravity fruit ability when he appeared on the stage. I saw Lu Chen's leg exerting force, and the person had already moved to 30 meters away. Fujitora Admiral, your accuracy has yet to be improved. Reaction speed and movement speed are pretty good. Fujitora praised. There are better ones to come. Lu Chen responded to Fujitora with a smile. 8 inner gates open. 35. Second gear. After Sanji took 8 inner gates and Luffy learned second gear. The physical fitness that was once identified as a weakness by Lu Chen is no longer what it used to be. He's just a simple shunpo. He directly crossed the distance of 100 meters and came to Fujitora. So fast. Fujitora did not expect that Lu Chen's physical skills could reach such a level. But years of blindness have long since brought Fujitora's observation haki to the upper realm. He has been paying attention to Lu Chen's actions. Therefore, he used the staff and knife in his hand to catch Lu Chen's attack in time. It's not over yet. Lu Chen's posture changed, Biao Lianhua. With a heavy kick on the cane, Fujitora dropped the weapon to avoid it. It was carried by the impact and flew into the air. Lu Chen took advantage of Fujitora's back, folded his hands, and smashed Fujitora head down to the ground. Because the power of 8 inner gates depends on the caster himself. At this moment, the lotus flower that Lu Chen is using is only stronger than Shaoli or Might Guy. But Fujitora is clearly not an opponent that can be easily solved. When the smoke cleared, Fujitora stood still on the cracked ground. Apart from his slightly embarrassed appearance, he did not suffer much damage. But this is also within Lu Chen's vision. After all, Fujitora is eating gravity fruit, like this aerial throwing technique. Fujitora is fully capable of reversing its own gravity, eliminating all damage the moment it is smashed to the ground. How about the appetizers? Can you please Fujitora Admiral? Lu Chen said with a smile as he closed the second gear. Although he had taken psychological precautions, Lu Chen's strength still exceeded Fujitora's expectations. He initially wanted Lu Chen to attack first. Then he used gravity rebound to let Lu Chen eat his bitter fruit. But he didn't do anything for a long time, forcing himself to make the move first. Afterwards, he only used physical techniques, and it was an incredibly fast physical technique. Let him not have the slightest chance to launch a gravity rebound. Could this man have already seen through his true intentions? Actually, before Fujitora got the gravity fruit, he is already a folk master, and he is superb at playing with a cane and knife. Even Zoro, if it's just a simple competition of swordsmanship. It may not necessarily be able to take advantage of Fujitora here. That is, the swordsmanship genius of Hawkeye can force Fujitora to use gravity. Thinking of this, Fujitora raised Lu Chen's danger level in his heart again. But Lu Chen didn't really think about it. The reason why he will use 8 inner gates this time. It's just because you haven't moved your muscles for too long on the boat. And I want to use Fujitora to test how far my physical skills have reached. In order to avoid falling into a passive situation, Fujitora took the initiative to launch the offensive this time. Step lightly, close the distance and bring the staff knife close to Lu Chen. Gravity suppression. Lu Chen felt his body sink, as if the surrounding air had a substantial weight. The ground beside his feet also began to crack. He wanted to directly leave the range of gravity suppression. But after being slowed down, the physical strength of opening the door alone made Lu Chen not enough to shake off Fujitora. Can only be forced to take a knife from Fujitora, trying to distance himself. But just when Lu Chen first came into contact with the staff and knife, the effect of gravity suppression on his body was even more serious. His heart sank. It's gravity swordsmanship. Fujitora attaches the gravity fruit ability to the stick. Every time you catch a knife, you will suffer more severe gravity suppression. It's not over yet, Fujitora shouted, controlling the nearby gravel to attack Lu Chen quickly. Seeing this situation, Lu Chen immediately used Conqueror's Haki. After Fujitora was slightly startled, he got out of the trap. And those rubble were easily stopped and smashed by him. However, compared to these rubble, Fujitora's loud shout was a bit more lethal. How come the inhabitants of the pirate world all know how to do the roar of lions? It makes my brain buzzing. Shaking his head, Lu Chen looked back at Fujitora. Fujitora's will to fight successfully aroused Lu Chen's will. It has to be said that Fujitora can be recruited in the post-Summit War world. From a little-known and unknown master, he was directly promoted to admiral. Even in the late game, Fujitora can challenge Akainu head-on, which is enough to show his strength. Not to mention 1.3, his combat experience alone is enough for the other Straw Hats to learn. Lu Chen adjusted his breathing slightly, his eyes fixed on Fujitora who was posing. Just when Lu Chen was about to launch a counterattack, he suddenly heard a burst of sound. Looking up, a meteorite was falling rapidly towards his direction. It's the first gravity light. Lu Chen just wanted to understand Fujitora's intentions. It turned out that the gravitational light launched by Fujitora was not aimed at Lu Chen at first. But meteorites in the sky. At this moment, it was too late for Lu Chen to change his position. Boom. 35. Although the mass of this meteorite is not too large, it still caused a considerable shock. Even the members of the Straw Hats in other areas felt the tremor of the Earth. Chapter 367. Fujitora erupted in desperation. Gravity Knife Tiger increases the gravity 100 times. Isn't it an earthquake? Nami asked, looking at Robin. Robin shook her head and said that she didn't know either, but she had a little doubt in her heart. This feeling is more like some kind of powerful attack. At present, the strongest players on this island are probably only Chen and Doflamingo. Fujitora looked at the smoke in front of him, although he was very confident about his attack. Whether it is attack power or suddenness, it is enough to cause lethal damage to any enemy of the 7 warlords of the sea level. But he still didn't dare to be careless, because his opponent was the famous, red-eyed Chen. As Admiral of Naval Headquarters, he has a longer and stronger intelligence network. Ever since Summit War, Chen was a blockbuster. Naval Headquarters has always maintained a considerable degree of attention to this powerful pirate of unknown origin. If it weren't for the fact that Chen appeared relatively late, his qualification would not be comparable to other pirates. Perhaps, judging from Chen's performance, the world government could have already reported to celestial dragons. Oh too, sure enough, I still underestimate you. The smoke gradually dissipated, and Chen's slightly excited voice sounded slowly. If Whitebeard is here now, I'm afraid it will all have to be calculated by your carefully prepared ultimate move from the beginning of the battle. Chen's body was exuding huge heat. Under the dark red skin, there is a terrifying strength that is enough to wrestle with the giant warriors head-on. Fujitora's face became more serious. He was not surprised that Chen was able to survive this level of attack. But Chen hardly showed any embarrassment. This trick meteorite falls, in addition to the quality of the meteorite itself. Fujitora is also using her proficiency and understanding of the gravity fruit's abilities in the final stage. Doubled the lethality of meteorites. However, it still failed to cause any substantial damage to Chen. Licking his dry lips, Chen felt more and more satisfied with Fujitora. At the critical moment just now, if he hadn't opened the 8 inner gates, 6th gate in time, and turned on the 2nd gear and wrapped the whole body with armament hockey. I'm afraid it won't be so easy now. Chen shook his hands a few times. Feel the energy from inside your body as if there is a steady stream of energy. Just crushed a few pieces of gravel around it. He just wanted to fight Fujitora for 300 rounds right now. Why not dodge? Just as Chen was about to attack, Fujitora's voice interrupted his movement. Judging from the abilities you have revealed in previous battles, even if it is a surprise attack, you still have plenty of time to dodge or even counterattack. Or, just use your unreasonable teleport to come directly behind me and punch me. This battle may be over. Chen slightly relaxed his posture, thought for a moment, and decided to tell the truth. Because, I'm afraid that if I push hard, you will fall. Fujitora was already mentally prepared for Chen's answer. The self-esteem of the top powerhouse made him subconsciously want to get angry, and he wanted to ruthlessly clean up this rude boy. But the strength that Chen showed in his performance in battle. But let Fujitora admit from the heart that what Chen said was not false. Maybe, I'm still old after all, Fujitora said to himself. He looked up at the sky in a daze, and suddenly felt a few drops of rain falling. Ah, is it raining? After a short delay, a torrential downpour quietly fell. Chen's body temperature evaporates every raindrop into mist. But that didn't stop Fujitora from staring at the powerful enemy in front of him. Because Fujitora's observation haki has already stepped into the top level. Even if he is blind, he can still see the chi emanating from everything in the world. In his vision, the chi emitted by Chen under the steam has far exceeded common sense. Chen's monstrous fighting spirit came towards Fujitora like a tide. For the first time in Fujitora's life, from anyone other than Marshal Sengoku. I felt so nervous, but there was an uncontrollable smile on his face. He knew that sooner or later he would die on the battlefield. And being able to die in the hands of Chen is a perfect ending for Fujitora himself. Unfortunately, before I died, there were still some regrets that I couldn't complete it. 99. Fujitora whispered softly, then quickly drew his knife and ran towards Chen. Come on, Red Eye, just make a break here. Perhaps Chen's sense of oppression was too strong, or it was a temporary outbreak after Fujitora put his life and death aside. Every step he took was steady, but it seemed to carry 1,000 weights. Gravity Blade Tiger. Fujitora waved the sword in his hand. To be honest, his swing speed is not fast. But every minute the stick knife moves, the more gravity is covered on the blade. When the sword came to Chen's eyes, the tip of the sword even had a purple gravity Uzumaki. Chen wanted to rely on the physical ability bonus brought by the triple buff to directly avoid Fujitora's attack. Or smash the already cracked ground, let Fujitora lose her focus, and start a strong attack. But he was stunned when he saw Fujitora's attack. Although Fujitora has exerted at least 100 times the gravity on him. Intent to stop Chen from moving. But for today's Chen, this gravity is not even a burden. 210. Sure enough, for the first time, a wry smile appeared on Chen's face. A person like Fujitora is really the last person I want to deal with. If Akainu represents Marine's aggressiveness and conceit, Aokiji represents Marine's conservativeness and laziness. Then Fujitora is a complete combination of the two. He has a sense of responsibility not inferior to that of Akainu, and is sincerely proud of himself as a Marine, taking pride in hunting pirates. I want to make a decision. It's a blessing to ignore things, there are too many filthy people in this world who can't bear to look at. When Lu Chen first saw this sentence, he couldn't help but fall in love with the character Fujitora. Okay Fujitora, let me smash your pride head on. Fujitora is one of the very few people of integrity who truly makes the protection of the safety of the people their highest personal pursuit. But he also respects kind pirates, turns a blind eye to the behavior of some pirates, and even suffers dissatisfaction from naval headquarters for releasing the straw hats into the sea many times. Lu Chen stopped thinking, closed his eyes, and devoted himself to the fight with Fujitora. Just like his eyes, he chose to close them voluntarily in order to no longer bear to see so much evil in the world. It can be said that among the marine forces where the strong are respected. Chapter 368 How can I fall in such a place? Facing Fujitora's near-disruptive blow, Lu Chen was careless. Towards the peacock. An ominous dark flame ignited in Lu Chen's fists. Countless super-fast punches met Fujitora's cane. One punch can't stop it, right? Then I'll use 1,000 punches. 10,000 punches. The collision between dark flames and purple gravity caused the entire sky to change color. Whenever the fire on Lu Chen's fist touches the staff and knife, the dark purple gravity was slightly dimmed. Lu Chen's attack is getting faster and faster, and the hundredfold gravity exerted by Fujitora has gradually lost its effect. After an instant, two powerful forces finally completely detonated the earth under their feet. Lu Chen and Fujitora stopped the attack, and each took a few steps back. Fujitora's staff sword still exudes a terrifying gravity, dyeing half of the sky purple. The half-day behind Lu Chen was covered with flames falling from the sky, both as dazzling as the sunrise and as shiny as a peacock's tail feathers. Fujitora moved his already numb hands calmly. If it is said that the battle just now is already the strongest fighting force that Fujitora has erupted in his life, then Lu Chen gave him the feeling that it was a universe that was deep and dark but had no boundaries at all. Even with this level of hedging, Fujitora still couldn't detect the bottom line of Lu Chen's strength. On the other hand, Lu Chen didn't feel anything special, just got more and more excited. Lu Chen is very satisfied with Fujitora's performance today. If you can conquer Fujitora psychologically, use his strength to practice more on the training ground and develop a training plan. Perhaps, it is not necessarily that he can train Fujitora into a second Kaido. Maybe even stronger than that. Fujitora let out a deep breath. He was about to say something, but stopped when the words reached his lips. To be honest, Fujitora still admires Lu Chen in his heart. As a good pirate, he didn't want to have too many conflicts with the other side. But Lu Chen's strength really forced him to face it. Because he knows that once Lu Chen has any evil thoughts, not only marine, but those unarmed ordinary people may have to die in vain. Thinking of this, Fujitora secretly clenched the sword. A trace of blood slowly dripped from his hand onto the staff knife. Before Lu Chen's counterattack was heavy, it also caused a lot of burden to him. Can't fight for long. Fujitora secretly made up his mind that he must fight quickly. Fujitora still maintains the posture of holding a cane in one hand, but the armament haki on his body is getting thicker and thicker, and it has even reached the point where it is almost real. The armament haki attached to the sword makes the entire weapon at least twice as long. Then the more intense purple gravity also began to wrap around the tip of the knife. I admit. Fujitora's voice sounded slowly. Of all the pirates I have met, you are probably the most powerful group. In Fujitora's hands, the stick knife changed from a reverse grip to a positive grip. If I can have the strength of Martial Sengoku, maybe I can make you really serious. 5. Lu Chen couldn't help but feel a little weird about this. To make Fujitora make such a sigh, it seems that the pressure on him is still too strong. Hell Brigade, Fujitora shouted, and suddenly activated one of his strongest moves. Little by little, he put the staff knife in his hand into the scabbard. Lu Chen's body sank, and the ground under his feet cracked inch by inch. Every time the cane entered the scabbard, Lu Chen felt more pressure. But Fujitora was not feeling well at the moment. The blood left wantonly from his right palm, but his hand was still steady and a little bit into the scabbard. At this moment, the air near Lu Chen has gradually become distorted, if not for the powerful physique brought by 8 inner gates and second gear. When Lu Chen didn't use most of his abilities and only used physical skills, it was possible that he would be directly pressed to the ground by gravity and unable to move. At the moment when the staff knife was about to be completely put into the scabbard, Fujitora's hand finally stopped. It wasn't that Fujitora wanted to release the water, but the last distance made Fujitora unable to press down with all his strength. Ah! As Fujitora shouted, the purple kimono on his body burst apart, the muscles on his upper body suddenly burst, and his right arm turned bloody. The capillaries in Fujitora's right hand could no longer withstand such a huge output, and the instant blood appeared, it was turned into blood-colored steam by the high body temperature. How can I fall in such a place? At the expense of a fractured right hand and a torn muscle, Fujitora finally fully retracted the cane into its scabbard. And the ground that Lu Chen was on was completely collapsed. A bottomless hole swallowed Lu Chen. Compared to the previous gravity knife tiger, Hell Brigade doesn't have such an exaggerated visual effect, but the power of the wheel, even if Kaido is known as the strongest man, Fujitora believes that he can't take this move unscathed. Fujitora's right hand sagged weakly. The whole person seemed to be out of strength, half kneeling on the ground and taking a deep breath. The sweat on his face has evaporated before it hits the ground. On the quiet battlefield at this moment, Fujitora listened to the sparse rain, and still watched the abyss vigilantly. Dot. Crack. Snap. Snap. There was a sudden applause from the bottom of the abyss. Fujitora's face instantly turned pale, and then she couldn't help but let out a wry smile. The applause got closer and closer, accompanied by the sound of rocks being smashed. I saw Lu Chen unhurriedly walked from the ground to Fujitora's eyes. The corners of Fujitora's mouth twitched slightly. This monster. He actually walked straight up, looking at the demon in front of him that seems to have climbed out of the abyss. Fujitora almost lost his grip on the sword. Huh. Lu Chen sighed slightly. Even though he was so relaxed now, he was actually quite relaxed when he was under attack. After realizing that Fujitora was completely risking his life, Lu Chen opened the 7th gate of 8 inner gates in time, and shattered the gravity field with Day Tiger when gravity was about to overwhelm Lu Chen. The reason why this big hole is formed on the ground is not only due to gravity, but also because of the influence of the Tianyu air cannon. After being strengthened by the triple buff, Lu Chen has been able to physically match Kaido. Be careful Fujitora, don't die so easily. The super gravitational field released by Fujitora is not so invincible to Lu Chen. So, let's start the second round of Hot Blood. 55. To be honest, Lu Chen said, looking at Fujitora, who was trying to straighten up. Not to mention that Lu Chen far surpassed Fujitora in the use of haki. As the words sounded, the chi emanating from Lu Chen's body was slowly withdrawn into the body, but under that calm appearance, there was a terrifying explosive force that seemed to be able to shatter the stars with one blow. From the beginning, I didn't think your strength would surprise me much. Open black lens bracket 8 inner gates close black lens bracket the 8th inner gate, open. But now, I have to admit, Fujitora, your strength is beyond my expectations. Chapter 369 1v2. Luffy attacks Don Quixote family. A thick blood-colored mist appeared on the surface of Lu Chen's body. The blood all over his body was used as fuel, making him exude a disturbing sense of terror and oppression. Fujitora's marine cape is now soaked in cold sweat. He had no doubt that the monster in front of him could have a head-to-head physical duel with Kaido, known as the strongest man. Shixiang. Lu Chen gave a soft drink, and the distance of 100 meters was instantly shortened, and his body was sharply shortened in Fujitora's vision of seeing and coloring. A no-frills punch hit Fujitora. And Fujitora also had a relieved smile on his face. While Fujitora and Lu Chen were fighting fiercely, on the other side, Luffy finally came to Doflamingo's palace. Luffy took a deep breath. Doflamingo. No wonder Lu Chen felt that everyone in the world of pirates could roar, and when Luffy's voice went down, it always made people feel that the city walls were about to collapse. Who dares to trouble the Don Quixote family? A hoarse voice sounded. I saw a man wearing a steel helmet with metal ornaments all over his clothes slowly appearing in front of Luffy. This person is Gladius, who was ignored by Lu Chen, and behind him is the top cadre of the Pika army, Pika. Hey, boy, don't you want to live anymore? 210 Gladius saw that Luffy was just a little boy, and he quickly classified Luffy as an unknown junior. But Pika stopped Gladius with one hand, and he saw at a glance that this person was the super pirate with a bounty of over 100 million, Straw Hat Luffy. Where's Doflamingo? Luffy scratched his ears. I'm going to fight him. Bang. Pika didn't answer Luffy, but suddenly punched Luffy. You Don Quixote family, do you like sneak attacks so much? Luffy easily caught the punch, and by the way, he didn't forget to mock Pika's behavior. At this moment, Pika's unique sharp voice suddenly remembered. Not everyone can challenge the team leader. Pika slowly retracted her fist. Pass me first. Then, another quick straight punch slammed into Luffy's forehead. Gladius also used the ability to explode the fruit at this time, picking up the gravel on the ground and turning them into explosive bombs and throwing them at Luffy. Rubber rubber. In the smoke from the explosion, Luffy's voice sounded. Bell. Luffy wrapped armament haki around his head and slammed Pika's fist back. Then he used a rubber shield to stop Gladius bombs. Taking advantage of the smoke, Luffy turned on second gear and observation haki at the same time, and headed towards Gladius. During the time he spent with Lu Chen, Luffy's battles improved by leaps and bounds. He has realized at this moment that Pika's physical fitness may not be weaker than his own, but Gladius is different. He has an attacking ability that is not inferior to Pika, but his body is too fragile. As long as he can get close, Luffy can rely on a powerful attack to directly make him go offline to receive the lunchbox from the hospital. But Pika obviously won't let Luffy get there so easily. Stone bite. Pika had a huge boulder out of thin air and bit Luffy, and while Luffy was dodging, Gladius also quickly retreated, leaving the battlefield to Pika. If that's the case, let's get you out of there first. Luffy stomped to the ground to change his forward direction and jumped high. Rubber rubber. Tomahawk. Pika didn't dare to be careless. Luffy's rubber tomahawk was the most destructive move against huge objects among all rubber skills. Therefore, Pika inhaled all the rocks on the ground into her body and turned on the stone giant. At the same time, she also used armament haki to arm her whole body and bear Luffy's battle axe. Seeing that the attack didn't work, Luffy prepared to bully him, suppressing Pika so that he wouldn't have any breathing room. But he didn't expect that as soon as he touched the ground, the stone under his feet suddenly swelled up, making him unable to stand firm all of a sudden, and taking a complete ACBD explosion damage. Ha 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 ha. Gladius grinned. Idiot, when you targeted me, I turned all the surrounding fields into landmine bombs. 95. At this time, Pika also adhered to the concept of taking advantage of your illness to kill you, and launched an additional attack on Luffy. Open black lens bracket muting stone close black lens bracket. In an instant, the ground around Luffy suddenly lifted up to form several huge sharp stone pillars. And the detonating mechanisms covering the rock surface were also activated one by one. The sound of the explosion was incessant, and the earth shook as much as Fujitora made a meteorite fall. An earthquake again. Nami and Luo were preparing to infiltrate the Smile manufacturing factory. Robin shook his head again to show that he didn't know, and gave Luo a look. Luo shrugged, reassuring Robin. He knew that the only powerhouses on this island were the Straw Hats and the Don Quixote family, so at this moment, it was estimated that a certain member was having a conflict with Don Quixote's people. When Pika and Gladius stopped attacking, the entire battlefield had become almost ruined. It's a mess, the young master must be angry for making such a mess at the door of the house. Gladius asked Pika in a relaxed tone, not caring about Luffy's situation at all. After all, in his worldview, Pika is also the top cadre, plus his own assistants. The Straw Hat Boy who has eaten several big moves in a row will be seriously injured if he does not die. It really hurts. Luffy rubbed his bleeding head and put on his straw hat again. You guys with such strength are at least core cadres. 35. Gladius looked at Luffy like hell, but Pika's expression didn't change. If I hadn't experienced Lu Chen's devil training, I'm afraid I'd be down now. Recalling the previous, dark experience, Luffy couldn't help shivering twice. Next, it's your turn. Luffy said with a smile, looking at Gladius who had already flown to safety. Luffy stretched his hand back to the ultimate, increasing the attack power of the rocket launcher to the maximum. Then he grinned and bit his right thumb. Pika's eyes moved, and she quickly threw Gladius out of the battlefield with her left hand, and kept duplicating tall rocks with her right hand. The seemingly indestructible giant rock only lasted for less than a second before it shattered. After a short delay, Lu Chen's hands faced the layers of boulders. Pika's stone giant also quietly disintegrated under these attacks. Rubber giant. Bazooka. Then, it's my turn next. He moved his muscles slightly. Chapter 370 Complete Victory. Rubber Thunder God Gun. Next, it's your turn. Luffy said, looking at Gladius, who was already terrified to the ground. But before Luffy could do anything, the ground behind him suddenly cracked. 8 tentacles made entirely of rock hold Luffy under control. At this time, Pika drilled out of the ground, trying to pierce Lu Fei with a sharp stone pillar. So you haven't fallen yet. Luffy kicked the stone pillar that restrained him with a rubber volcano, and quickly avoided Pika's sneak attack. Seeing that the sneak attack was unsuccessful, Pika also returned to Gladius. He stared at Luffy with bloodshot eyes, who looked so excited at the moment that he was even doing a warm-up exercise. With the stone fruit, he is also considered a real top fighting force in the Don Quixote family. Years of practice and body transformation have made Pika firmly believe that she is not weaker than any supernova at all. He believes that if an enemy of the rank of Marine Vice Admiral or 7 Warlords of the Sea is not attacked wholeheartedly, he can block it. But Luffy's rubber giant rocket just shattered his pride. It was such a simple and unpretentious attack that forced him to give up the stone giant form. You must know that the ability of the stone fruit allows Pika to make full use of the surrounding rocks. Whether it is hardness or other properties, it can be completely used by itself. In addition, the land outside the Don Quixote family is made of special stones, so that Pika can absorb it and enhance its combat power when there is an emergency. He was angry, but also scared. Under these two emotions, Pika once again called out the stone giant form. This time, he is stronger and stronger, he has to beat Luffy head-on, and he has to beat Luffy fiercely to regain his pride. Gladius next to him felt Pika's anger and stepped back silently. One is to realize that his attack poses little threat to Luffy, and may hinder Pika's attack. The second is to decide that if he sees Pika at a disadvantage, he will quickly return to the family and report to Doflamingo. Pika exerted force on her legs and ran towards Luffy quickly. With every step he took, his body grew taller. Luffy swung his huge right fist, and Pika fought each other at close range. Acute stone. Pika suddenly dived into the ground, and then came behind Luffy like a teleport. 8 rock tentacles attacked Luffy again. But how could Luffy, who had already seen this move, capsize twice so easily, and immediately a Shunpo escaped? But Pika's purpose is not to restrain Luffy, but to use her ability to quickly shuttle between rocks. Whenever Luffy has a slight upper hand, Pika will armor stone disrupt his attack rhythm. Luffy also tried to use the rubber technique, suddenly, trying to catch Pika by surprise. Kopika is equally experienced in combat, using golem form to block Luffy's attacks every time. It's annoying to be hiding all the time. Luffy shouted, look at me destroying you in the ground. 35. Luffy stomped on the ground, jumped into the air, and used rubber octopus fireworks. The arm stretched to ultimate uses the rebound of the surrounding stone pillars to frantically attack the entire battlefield. Under this kind of AoE attack, Pika could only run away, constantly changing his position. When Luffy stopped attacking, the entire battlefield was in pieces, with few places to stand. Luffy lifted armament haki and took a few deep breaths in embarrassment. Continuing to maintain a high-intensity attack is also a very expensive thing for the current Luffy. However, Pika obviously won't give Luffy a chance to rest. A stone the size of a city gate came at Luffy at super speed from the smoke. After barely dodging, the slingshots continued to fire. Do you think I've been running around in the field just to avoid your attack? Pika said while throwing the copied stone at Luffy. Only then did Luffy see Pika's true form. While you were attacking indiscriminately, I had run all over the battlefield, absorbing all the stones that could be absorbed. Luffy looked at Pika, who was over 10 meters tall, and swallowed. In my opinion, you are like a monkey with a great knife. The Kong has a whole body of force, but he doesn't know how to use it. Let me teach you what a real strong man is. Open black lens bracket stone press close black lens bracket. 35. Two huge stone pillars suddenly appeared on both sides of Luffy, and there were a large number of sharp stone spears on the cut surface. 0 katakana middle dot for flowers. The two stone pillars quickly closed, locking Luffy in a space similar to the torture tool, Iron Virgin. Under Pika's control, the space inside the stone pillar kept shrinking. In order to avoid accidents, Pika also lingers her armament hockey on the stone spear inside the stone pillar. But just when Pika and Gladius thought they were winning, a crisp sound made their smiles freeze on their faces. Rubber 1,000,000-degree rocket launcher. I saw that Luffy's arms were wrapped around armament hockey, which was not inferior to Pika, and he shattered the two stone pillars with one punch. It's always stone and stone all day, Luffy said with a frown. Can you get some fresh ones, Uncle Stone? I'm getting tired of watching it. 99. 0. Don't you yourself rubberize all day. Gladius complained loudly in his heart. Too much time has been spent on you guys, the warm-up is done, it's time to end this fight. Just let you guys take a good look at the results of my training with Chen. Rubber. Luffy tapped his toes and stood on the broken stone pillar, stretching his legs above the clouds. Thor elephant gun. A bolt of lightning flashed across, and Luffy's feet slammed into Pika with the power of 1,000 fists. When the legs fell, static electricity and sparks even rubbed in the air due to super high speed. Pika didn't see Luffy's attack trajectory clearly at all, and at the last moment he could only try to raise his hands and fold them over his head. A violent explosion resounded throughout Dressrosa, and the factory raid team led by Chen and Fujitora and Luo all heard the explosion. The static electricity and sparks gradually went out, and Pika's stone giant form had long since shattered into 1,000 ordinary stones. He was lying on the ground in the form of his body, his eyes were blank, and his body was still steaming. Gladius wasn't much better, although he wasn't the first target. The huge impact of the Thunder God gun also made him deeply embedded in the wall. Next, Luffy patted the dusty straw hat and put it back on. It's time for the main event. At some point, Doflamingo was already standing on the city gate, looking at Luffy with an interested smile. Yo, it seems, there is someone who can fight. Chong. Chapter 371 Battle Doflamingo. Huh, Chen couldn't help chuckling when he heard the explosion in the distance. It seems that Luffy has come to the door. Fujitora looked away. Your friends are going to challenge the Don Quixote family. Yeah, Chen shrugged slightly. The reason why we came to this island is to destroy the alliance between Doflamingo and Kaido. Hearing this, Fujitora clenched the sword slightly. I understand that you joined the Marine to eliminate the 7 warlords of the sea system, and you are here in part to save the common residents of Dressrosa. 5. Fujitora was shocked. He really did not expect that Chen had mastered so much information. Chen didn't seem to see Fujitora's reaction, and continued to talk eloquently. I can tell you the truth. The truth is not much different from your guess. Dressrosa is just a place that looks bright on the surface, but behind the scenes is the darkness that both marine and celestial dragons can't see. Doflamingo designed the Riku royal family 10 years ago and successfully turned Dressrosa into his own kingdom. The obedient residents will keep them as they are, and the disobedient will use the abilities of their subordinates to turn them into toys. As for those who still have some fighting power, let them become gladiators in the arena, providing entertainment for the residents. I know you may have a hard time believing the hidden truth, but if you can go deep. No, Fujitora interrupted, I believe what you say. Chen's eyebrows twitched, and it seemed that he underestimated Fujitora's mental capacity. After moving his hands a little, Chen said to Fujitora, who was still thinking. Then let's end this fight as soon as possible, and then you can see for yourself the damage Doflamingo has done to this country. As soon as the words fell, Chen smashed the ground with one foot and came to Fujitora in a teleportation. Shixiang 1 speed. A powerful straight punch from Chen sent Fujitora flying into the sky. If it wasn't for Fujitora subconsciously wrapping gravity around the cane and blocking the direct hit. I'm afraid he has lost consciousness by now. Shixiang's 2nd speed. 35. Chen's movements already exceeded the speed of sound, and Fujitora only heard Chen's voice after the air cannon he brought with his punch knocked Fujitora to the ground. Shixiang 3 speeds. If Fujitora can lock Chen's position with gas at 1 speed, Fujitora can barely catch up with Chen's action at 2nd speed. After reaching the 3rd speed, Fujitora couldn't see anything. In his vision, it seems that the whole world is filled with Chen's chi. The world's martial arts can only be fast, and Chen's ultra-high-speed movement made it too late for Fujitora to make any response. Shixiang 4 speeds. At this moment, Fujitora is like a ball in Chen's hands. Apart from being hit around, he has no ability to move. Then this is the end. Fujitora heard Chen's last voice when his consciousness was about to dissipate. Shixiang 5 speed. 95. That fist, which seemed to exceed the speed of light, made Fujitora only feel a flash of light in front of him. Then, the sea behind him was violently exploded, and the powerful air cannon even caused a tsunami. Chen looked at Fujitora, who had fallen before him, slowly retracted his fist, and closed the 8 inner gates. Chen's last punch didn't hit Fujitora. After all, 8 inner gates is the ultimate physique in the Hokage world, not to mention the current Fujitora. Uchiha Madara, who was in the form of Ten Tails Jinchuriki at the beginning, was pressed to the ground by the air cannons after the third speed and could not move. The consumption caused by the full opening of the 8th gate was a little too much for Lu Chen. After all, vitality itself is Lu Chen's weakness, if it weren't for the fact that most of the training results were piled on vitality earlier. Lu Chen will not choose to open the door to death. After Fujitora, who had completely fainted, was taken back to Kamui space, Lu Chen's figure slowly disappeared. Only the shattered earth is left on the deserted battlefield. Yo, it seems, there is someone who can fight. Hearing Doflamingo's flirtatious voice, Luffy just grinned. Shaking his slightly stiff hands, Luffy looked at Doflamingo in exaggerated clothes. Then, it's time to fight the boss. Luffy exuded a strong fighting spirit from top to bottom. With a hard kick with the right foot, it came to Doflamingo at a very fast speed. Seeing the rapidly growing fist in front of him, Doflamingo smiled fearlessly. After using observation haki to predict the attack route of the fist, he turned slightly sideways to avoid the attack. Then one kick kicked Luffy back to the spot. Whoa, 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 whoa. Doflamingo's laugh is as annoying as ever. It seems that you are not enough for me to fight. Luffy wasn't annoyed after being taunted. He knew that Doflamingo was considered a top-notch fighting force in 7 Warlords of the Sea, so he just tested his reaction speed just now. Really strong enough. There was only this thought in Luffy's mind. His body suddenly turned pale red. Second gear. Luffy jumped up again, but this time the speed surprised Doflamingo subconsciously. Armed hardened. The black armament haki wrapped around Doflamingo's body, and the skin tone gradually turned from brown to black. He stood still, ramming Luffy's straight punch with his solid black stomach. Luffy took a few steps back, and this attack alone made him realize that Doflamingo's hardened armament had a formidable defense that could not lose to Pika. Open black lens bracket 5 color strings close black lens bracket. This time it was Doflamingo's turn to attack. 5 nearly transparent threads flashed across Luffy's eyes. Red blood was left on his face. The 5 slender 1.3 wounds made Luffy's heart tighten. 5 color strings are not only destructive enough, but also difficult to detect with the naked eye. Its own rubber ability is really ineffective against this kind of enemy with the cut attribute. Judging from the fruit ability, Luffy is really at a disadvantage against Doflamingo. Hey, Mingdi still kept his calm look. You don't have the skills, do you? Luffy wiped the blood from his face, closed his eyes and took a deep breath. When he opened his eyes again, the temperament of the whole person had undergone earth-shaking changes. Oh, it's interesting. The smile on Brother Ming's face became more rampant. Come on, Doflamingo, let me tear off your hypocritical smile and see the true strength of the Straw Hat Pirates. Chapter 372, 4th Gear, Bouncer. Let me tear off your hypocritical smile and see the true strength of the Straw Hat Pirates. As soon as the voice fell, Luffy turned on the 2nd gear again. Extend the rubber arm to the ultimate, frantically destroy surrounding walls and crumbling ground. Gravels of various sizes were thrown at Doflamingo by Luffy. Using the destructive power of open black lens bracket 5 color strings close black lens bracket, Doflamingo smashed every piece of gravel with ease. Rubber. Machine gun. Before the smoke cleared, Luffy quickly approached Doflamingo, trying to grab the attack rhythm with a super fast multi-stage attack. In order to prevent his arms from being cut off by the 5 color strings, Luffy wrapped his arms with armament haki in time. Doflamingo used the observation haki again, calmly dodging Luffy's every punch, but not being able to dodge it with 5 color strings. It's not over yet. Luffy gave a loud shout, and changed his posture lightly. Rubber. He stretched his arms back to the ultimate, bazooka. Super Strike Whip. 99. Doflamingo also imitated Luffy's hand and stretched his hand back, and then dozens of threads as thin as steel gushed out from his heart. The threads twisted around each other and quickly collided with Luffy's hands. After a brief stalemate, Doflamingo's silk thread was even better, not only deflecting Luffy's attack, but also swiftly slashing at his head. Luffy squatted down calmly, avoiding the ending of being headed. But under Doflamingo's control, the tangled thread quickly turned back, this time targeting Luffy's legs. Alas, since ancient times, I have lost against bows left. Lu Chen, who was watching the battle from the shadows, couldn't help but sigh. When your partners fight in the future, try to let them choose to stand on the right. 99. Open black lens bracket bullet string close black lens bracket. On the fierce battlefield, Doflamingo attacked again with the Super Strike Whip. With the bullet string before and the Super Strike Whip, Luffy's situation is extremely serious at the moment. Just when Lu Chen couldn't help but want to help, Luffy made an unexpected choice. I saw Luffy release the 2nd gear and put his right thumb in his mouth and blew hard. The huge right fist directly grabbed the Super Strike Whip. Then he used armament haki to harden his entire body and ate the bullet string's attack abruptly. Luffy's right hand has been stained red with blood, and the silk thread is extremely restless in his hand, but he always only holds it in his hand. This is really a battle pervert, Lu Chen praised Luffy in his heart. Doflamingo's face was also not very good looking, because Super Strike Whip was one of his most powerful moves in terms of attack power and stealth. However, this move has an Achilles heel, and it is difficult to retract the silk thread every time it is released. And Luffy just looked at Brother Ming twice in the battle, and he has already found a way to break the game. It is no wonder that Lu Chen's evaluation of him as battle pervert. Caught you. There was a smile on Luffy's face that made Brother Ming very unhappy. I saw Luffy's right hand pulling back hard, and Brother Ming was pulled directly towards Luffy. Rubber giant bazooka. Faced with this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Luffy immediately released his ultimate move. The reason why Doflamingo can rank high in the 7 warlords of the sea is mainly due to the skillful use of the fruit ability. But in terms of physical fitness and Haki's understanding, it is slightly inferior. Therefore, Doflamingo didn't dare to top the giant bazooka that could crush Oz's bones at the moment. Open black lens bracket Shadow Knight string close black lens bracket. He converted the Super Strike Whip into a Shadow Knight string to create a clone, and successfully cut the string. The clone released 5 color strings with his left hand to face Luffy's fist, while his right hand threw the main body out of the field. Boom. The violent explosion caused the clone created by Shadow Knight string to dissipate directly, and Doflamingo didn't take much damage because of the timely response. Fire gun fist. Luffy burst out of the smoke, and by this time he had shifted back into second gear again. Fortunately, he had undergone Lu Chen's hell training before, and he no longer became a child after using the third gear every time he used it. Otherwise, Luffy really couldn't switch back and forth between the second and third gears. Doflamingo didn't expect Luffy's counterattack to come so quickly, and he took a complete firefight without any defense. Brother Ming was beaten upside down and flew out, but Luffy wanted to go all out, so he directly knocked Brother Ming down. Don't underestimate me, Doflamingo shouted angrily. Let's see what devil fruit looks like after awakening. 99. Before he finished speaking, Brother Ming suddenly exuded a lot of purple chi. Shield white line. It's too late to say it's too soon, just when Luffy's fire gun fist was about to land on Brother Ming. Several strands of at least 1,000 silk threads suddenly appeared on the ground. They intertwined with each other, helping Mingay block Luffy's punch. Wild waves and white lines. I saw that these lines were suddenly arranged horizontally and swept away towards Luffy. Luffy couldn't dodge and was wrapped in it, and soon, these lines gradually twisted into a twist. Blood spurted out from the lines, and the amount of bleeding was so great that even these white lines were dyed red. As Doflamingo's fingers moved slightly, the lines gradually retracted to the ground, and Luffy's miserable figure appeared in front of him. Luffy looked very terrifying, with slender wounds all over his body, except for the straw hat, there was almost nothing intact. Is this your true strength, Grass 210 Hat Boy? Brother Ming laughed frantically. There is a lot of trouble in my kingdom, how should I compensate for the loss caused to me? If the celestial dragons knew of Dressrosa's darkness, my kingdom would be in trouble. Ah, yes, you seem to have some friends on this island. Luffy slowly supported his body with his broken hands. Brother Ming did not move at all, and continued to say to Luffy while controlling the awakened lines with his hands and swinging back and forth. After I have dealt with you, I will welcome your friends, and I will bury you all together. As soon as the words fell, Brother Ming stretched out his hands, birdcage. I saw countless thin threads sticking out from Doflamingo's hand, and then wrapping the entire Dressrosa. Just watch right here, your companions will be wiped out by me one by one. At this moment, Luffy, who was lying on the ground just now, suddenly disappeared. Then, Doflamingo, who had been calm, was suddenly shaken into the sky by the huge impact. You are not allowed to touch my companion. It wasn't until after the attack that Brother Ming heard Luffy's voice. Luffy's body has undergone earth-shaking changes at this time. His hands and feet have turned completely black, and his body is covered with exaggerated muscles. 4th Gear Bouncer. Chapter 373 Nico Robin vs Toripal. 4th Gear Bouncer. Doflamingo looked at the appearance of Luffy in front of him, and couldn't help but feel a throbbing in his heart. In fact, in terms of ability, Luffy's shifting ability can indeed be regarded as a disguised version of Devil Fruit's awakening ability. In 4th gear, Luffy really has the capital to go head-to-head with Doflamingo. Lu Chen in the distance also smiled slightly when he saw this scene, and then used the Kamui space to leave the battlefield directly. With the 4th gear bonus, Lu Chen no longer has to worry about Luffy's safety, now he has more important things to do. Rubber. Luffy stomped on the ground with both feet, and came to Doflamingo in an instant, Ape King Gun. 5. Number 7. Luffy's teleportation-like speed made it too late for Brother Ming to react. He can only instinctively cross his hands in front of his forehead, and use armament haki to strengthen his defense. Boom. Luffy's fist seemed to be shattered with air, and Doflamingo was smashed to the ground from a height by his punch. The huge impact made Ming Jade deeply embedded in the ground. Wow. Brother Ming's internal organs were severely injured, and he could not help but vomit blood. After a little repair with string fruit, Luffy has teleported in front of Ming Jade again using his bouncing ability and haki. Rubber. Rhino Howitzer. The feet that were indented in the body suddenly kicked out, kicking Brother Ming directly out. What kind of power is this? 35. Doflamingo was in a very annoyed mood. He really did not expect that the seemingly unremarkable Straw Hat Boy would be able to burst out with such terrifying strength in a desperate situation. For the next few minutes, Ming Jade was suppressed by Luffy. It's not that he doesn't want to fight back, but that Luffy's speed is so fast that he can't believe it. If he hadn't been concentrating on defense, he had no doubt that he might not last 2 minutes at all. After all, Brother Ming is not a man like Kaido. In terms of physical quality, Zoro and Sanji may be much better than him. Rubber 1. Luffy's voice sounded again, and Doflamingo immediately summoned the shield white line to prepare for defense. Orochimaru. 35. This time, the attack that Brother Ming imagined did not come. Brother Ming, who was hiding behind the shield, didn't know what was going on for a while. Just when he hesitated, Luffy's fist suddenly hit his head from behind. Brother Ming tilted his head to avoid the punch, but he didn't expect the fist to turn a corner and finally hit Brother Ming in the face. Lying on the ground, Doflamingo's face was covered in blood, his pink feather coat had been stained with blood and soil, and there were multiple tears in his cropped trousers. He watched Luffy walk towards him step by step, struggled to get back up, and swallow the blood in his mouth. Open black lens bracket Uehara Hakuba close black lens bracket. Doflamingo made his first strike since Luffy's fourth gear. At this moment, Luffy felt his feet sink, and when he looked down, he found that the entire ground had been transformed into countless lines by Brother Ming. But at this time, his heart suddenly tightened. Damn. 1,000 arrows piercing heart, feather strike, line. Brother Ming launched the final blow and used Uehara White Wave before. The purpose was not to control Luffy, but to make Luffy jump up by himself. In the air, he is Ming Ji's living target. Luffy's pupils reflected the rapidly approaching lines. Go to hell, Straw Hat Boy. On the other hand, Robin and Nami are stunned by the design of the Dantata clan due to their carelessness. But fortunately, Usopp called himself a descendant of Hero Rolando, in time, won the respect of the Dantata family, and successfully escaped with Robin. After learning about Doflamingo's persecution of the Don Quixote family, Robin agreed to their request to fight against the Don Quixote family together with the Straw Hats. Who are you going to resist? Suddenly, a childish voice sounded. Of course it's against the Don Quixote family. Nami didn't react. We're going to overthrow Doflamingo's rule. 5. Oh, so that's the case, can I ask you to die? It was only then that Nami noticed that a child in a dress with grapes in his mouth had come to them at some point. Nami, watch out. Robin grabbed Nami behind his back as soon as he reached out. Who are you? She is Sugar, one of the top cadres of the Don Quixote family, and next to this is Torpal, who is also the top cadre. 39. The Dong Tata warriors recognized the two at a glance and quickly warned Robin and Nami. Looking at the malicious duo in front of him, Robin felt unprecedented pressure, and immediately took Nami back to a safe distance. 6 inches. You guys are annoying and steal my self-introduction, Torpal. Hey, Torpal let out his classic laugh, sticky chains. It was too late to say that, and a few brown chains suddenly stretched out under Torpal's blue coat. If you look closely, you can find that these chains are all made of sticky liquid. Because the speed was too fast, several Dantata warriors around were controlled by the chains before they could react. Seeing this, the others who were lucky enough to escape the catastrophe all waved their weapons and tried to cut off the chains. However, the toughness of these chains is extraordinary, except for the great swordsmen like Zoro and Fujitora. If other people don't use the fruit ability, or use armament haki to wrap the weapon, it is difficult for ordinary people to easily solve the sticky chain. Therefore, many people's weapons were also entangled in sticky chains, and suddenly became empty-handed. Remarkable state. Sugar slowly approached the person who was to be controlled by the sticky chain, and his hands were only touching. Let these people become toys one by one. Because just when the chain was about to touch Robin, several arms suddenly grew on the ground, spinning and intercepting all the chains. Oh, it seems that among these people, you are the strongest, right? Torpal activated the fruit ability again, but this time the target was changed from the Dantata clan to Robin. But this time Torpal did not succeed in controlling Robin. Open black lens bracket rotating flower close black lens bracket. I didn't expect that just touching it would have an effect. In other words, if you want to defeat the Sugar, you must use a long-range attack. Sticky chains. Sugar sneered and looked at Robin. Seeing this, Robin's heart sank. She originally thought that Sugar had to pay for this ability. Chapter 374 The Calculated Robin, Usopp saves the field. Oh, it seems that among these people, you are the strongest, right? Hearing Sugar's provocation, Nami couldn't take it anymore. Hey, you little brat is too loud. Blue veins burst out on Sha Tang's face. You said, who is a little kid? 35. Torpal, kill them for me. Hey. Open black lens bracket sticky launcher close black lens bracket. 35. Torpal suddenly raised his hand and raised his blue coat, shooting out a lot of lumpy mucus from his body. This move looks bluffing, but this indiscriminate AoE ability is not particularly troublesome for Robin. Open black lens bracket dazzling 100 flowers big net, close black lens bracket. I saw countless arms suddenly grow on the ground and walls, one by one catching the slime blocks shot by Torpal. Seeing this scene, the Dantata warriors in the distance immediately picked up their weapons and ran towards Torpal. In fact, if you really want to count, Torpal's melee ability is not to mention that he can fight against Sanji, Zoro and others, just the Dantata warriors in front of him are enough for him to drink a pot. However, being able to become the top cadre of the Don Quixote family, Torpal just looks rather wretched, and his strength doesn't seem to be enough. Still very powerful in combat. Sticky chains. Torpal directly picked up the Dong 210 Tata warrior who was closest to him with a chain, and then swung him around as a weapon like a meteor hammer. Due to the fact that the inertia is too great, the Dong Tata warriors, who are physically relatively poor, can't stop such an attack at all. Soon, most of the Dantata warriors were turned upside down. Open black lens bracket sticky meteor, close black lens bracket. After confirming that most of the enemies had been knocked to the ground, Torpal unleashed another trick. Boom. The huge destructive force made the whole cave start to tremble, and some of the unstable gravel began to slowly slide down. Just when everyone thought that the captured Dongtata warriors were already fierce, they suddenly found that the ground was covered with arms. Dazzling 100 Blossoms Big Delphinium. It's Robin. Robin was the first to spot Torpal's meteor attack in a pinch. When the Dongtata warriors were about to be smashed to the ground, she promptly used the Big Delphinium as a cushion, which largely slowed the damage of the little warriors. After regaining his footing, Robin couldn't help raising the threat level of his opponent by a lot in his mind. One of these ACBD, two looks like a harmless little loli. The other looked like a rambunctious middle-aged social animal uncle. However, in terms of destructive power and combat power, these two can be ranked in the Don Quixote family. In order to avoid accidents, but also to protect Nami and the other Dongtata warriors, Robin chose to attack first. 80 round flowers, 4 trees, stability. Robin shot fiercely, and 4 big arms consisting of 80 arms came to Torpal in the blink of an eye, wanting to hold him directly in his hands and make him incapacitated. Torpal showed an ability to act that was completely inconsistent with his appearance. Use the sticky fruit to turn the nearby ground into unidentified slime, and then quickly slide on it, successfully dodging Robin's attack by a tiny margin. But at this moment, Sugar stood in front of Torpal. Robin realized this was a good opportunity and immediately switched to granulated sugar. However, not only did there not appear to be the slightest fear on Sha Tang's face, on the contrary, there was a hint of sneer. Robin felt a little unease in her heart, but she didn't wait for her to figure it out. Sugar's outstretched right hand has already touched these 4 arms. Although in terms of volume, the Sugar's hand is so small that it breaks when touched. But in the next second, Robin in the distance suddenly turned into a slender toy. Crap, Robin suddenly realized the problem at this point. The ability of Sugar is to be able to turn what other people want into toys through touch. However, in their master's information, they did not mention that Sugar can even use the fruit's ability as a medium to directly make the person with the ability attacked by the childlike fruit. Flower fruit's ability is really restraining Torpal. Sugar sounded with a hint of sly voice. But in front of me, the arms that the flower fruit grows out of are nothing like your own. Sugar stoops to pick up the toy Robin has turned into. I heard you got some nice abilities under that red-eye trainer. 35. But unfortunately, in front of my childlike fruit, you have no room to play at all. After speaking, Torpal and Sugar turned to Nami at the same time. After losing Robin, Nami is the only one here with fighting power. Nami clenched her lips. Although she wanted to retreat to seek help from her comrades, there were countless Dongtata warriors behind her who had fallen to the ground, unable to move. If she backs down at this time, these loyal warriors will obviously be poisoned by Sugar. Just as Torpal was about to take control of Nami first with the sticky chains. Open black lens bracket destroyed. Stinky egg star close black lens bracket. I saw a rotten egg smashed into Torpal with lightning speed. Although Torpal's reaction was very quick, he used sticky chains to knock the rotten eggs out. But the odor that can cause a human physiological reaction has completely stuck to him. It made Sugar and Torpal almost vomit. This uncle is here. Usopp appeared in front of everyone with a handsome look. Nami, are you all right? Where's Robin? Usopp asked after looking around. Robin has been turned into a toy by granulated sugar. Take advantage of the moment when Sugar and Torpal are distracted. Nami hurriedly dragged a few wounded Dongtata soldiers out of the battlefield. You get them out of here first. 95 Usopp shouted hastily, you are here only to affect my performance. 35. A few sticky chains struck again, but Usopp moved a little faster. In an instant, the entire cave was shrouded in dazzling light, and Torbell couldn't see the movements of Nami and the others at this time, and could only keep waving the sticky chains. You can't run. Torpal. Gee. At this time, the two Sugar had recovered, and they couldn't help but feel a little angry after being attacked by the stench. However, every time the sticky chain happened to be close to Nami's direction, it would be smashed by Usopp directly with a metal star. Sparkle. 35. After Sugar and Torpal regained their sight, there were only 3 of them left in the entire cave. Chapter 375 Usopp vs Don Quixote's Top Cadre. Boy, you look brave. Sugar said to Usopp viciously. Even though Sugar's actual age is older than Usopp, she looks like a little loli. Even if she says such a line, it will only make people feel cute. Playing alone against our 2 top officials of Don Quixote, I wonder if you can last 5 minutes. 35. Usopp looked like an old dog on the surface, but in fact he was so panicked that he wanted to run away. No way, although Usopp is also a sniper king, after all, and after being trained by Chen for so long, his combat power has already surpassed the original world line. But his courage has always been so small, and he can't show his true strength in the face of some slightly stronger opponents. Or, after this incident is over, I will take him to the haunted house to practice courage. 35. Chen, who was hiding in Kamui's world, couldn't help but set up new training goals for Usopp. The back of Usopp's neck suddenly became cold. Hey, this kind of strange feeling, it's like being stared at by some terrifying beast. Unexplained Usopp thought it was the pressure from Sugar and Torpal. Stop talking nonsense, and I, Uncle Usopp, will knock you all down. As if to cheer himself up, Usopp uttered rhetoric. Blue veins appeared in the corners of Shatang's eyes, and since she became the top cadre, few people dared to speak to her like this. Torapal, kill him for me. Hey hey hey. At this time, Torapal still chose to use sticky chains. No way, compared to Pika and Doflamingo, Torapal's fighting ability is not that strong. Seeing this, Usopp quickly pulled back a certain distance, and when he was in the air, he took out special ammunition from his bag. Slaying Special Oil Star. The fired oil bombs covered the sticky chains with a layer of fuel. Slaying Fire Star. With a bang, all the sticky chains covered with fuel began to burn violently. But just as Usopp was proud of his intelligence, the burning sticky chains struck him again. What? How can you still move? Tang Tang just smiled lightly when he heard the words, aren't you too ignorant? Ordinary flames are no trouble for sticking chains. 35. Even if the liquid that sticks to the chain is evaporated, it won't cause any damage to Torapal's body. At this time, Usopp looked a little embarrassed. The super stickiness of the sticky chain made him extremely careful, for fear that he would be directly controlled. But now the sticky chain has been enchanted by him, and the burning flame can bring him a huge threat. After frantically running away for a while, the flames on the sticky chains were finally extinguished, and Usopp was exhausted and out of breath. If you only talk about physical strength, maybe the girls in the straw hats are much better than Usopp. If you can only run away, you won't be able to win us. Sugar's slightly dull remarks irritated Usopp. Don't underestimate me. I saw Usopp aimed at the sugar and fired a special ammunition directly. Torapal, however, doesn't even protect the sugar with the sticky fruit ability, because Usopp's accuracy is ridiculously poor, and it doesn't hit the sugar at all. Chen in the distance felt a little puzzled. No, Usopp's sniper skills can't be so bad. Wait, Chen's eyes brightened, looking in the direction of Usopp. Perhaps, his goal is not sugar. 35. Sha Tang was about to mock Usopp for a few words, but when she looked at him, she found that Usopp had a smug smile on the corner of her mouth. Sha Tang's heart sank, and suddenly he heard a violent explosion behind him, and then the sound of explosions could not stop, and Sha Tang and Torapal were in the center of all the explosion points. Happened, this trajectory, it was when he escaped just now. It was only now that Sugar realized that Usopp was not running for his life completely, but took advantage of the cover of stone pillars and flames sticking to the chains, and placed high explosives around Sugar and the others. The ammunition I just fired wasn't a bullet, Usopp's voice sounded, it was the booty I brought from Sky Island. Reap. Then, the sound of falling rocks drowned out Usopp's. 0 katakana middle dot for flowers. After the earth shook and the mountains shook, the whole cave finally came to a long-lost silence. The environment of the entire cave has changed at this time. There were only 2 or 3 stone pillars left standing, and there were still traces of explosions on them. The ground is full of potholes, and gravel is everywhere. Usopp didn't dare to be careless, and after watching it for a while, he finally let go of his guard. I'm still pretty strong. Laughing and praising himself, Usopp was about to leave the cave and meet up with other partners. At this moment, Chen showed a wry smile. In his senses, although the Sugar and Torapal were slightly injured at this time, they were far from being incapacitated. 0. Also, Chen looked at Usopp's feet, there are other people who are behind. Just as Usopp was about to come out of the cave, a mutation suddenly occurred. The ground beneath his feet suddenly cracked, and several huge sticky chains protruded from it. Usopp, who couldn't dodge, was bound at once, and then these sticky chains exerted force together, as if they wanted to crush Usopp directly. Usopp couldn't help crying out at this moment, feeling the piercing pain. He reluctantly looked into the smoke, and a huge figure slowly emerged. Stop, Torapal. Sugar's young voice caught Usopp's attention. After speaking, Sugar gave Torapal a wink. Sugar said with a gloomy face. I'm afraid you can really knock us both down. It was almost calculated by you, boy. If Torapal didn't react fast enough, he would use the sticky fruit ability to break through the ground and drill into the ground. The latter immediately manipulated the sticky chains to lift Usopp in the air, and then slammed it to the ground. The corners of Usopp's mouth began to bleed, and every impact made him feel a sharp pain. At Sugar's command, the sticky chains loosened slightly, but still held Usopp in place. But now, you are already in my bag. Chapter 376 Must Kill, 6 Liangxingxing. In the cave, the sound of heavy objects crashing has never stopped. After being continuously used by Torapal with the sticky meteor hammer, Usopp was on the verge of fainting. Am I going to die? Usopp began to slowly close his eyes. Seeing that Usopp was no longer screaming, Sugar let Torapal put him down as if bored. Usopp's body fell heavily from the air to the ground. Hey, this won't work. Sha Tang put one foot on Usopp's head, aren't you very showy just now? 35. Are you good at hitting? You can hit a fart. The Sugar became more and more vigorous, and finally he simply ran his feet on Usopp's head. After finding that the other party didn't respond, Sugar also lost the last bit of patience. Forget it, just turn you into a human and throw it to the 210 garbage collection station by accident. After speaking, Sugar slowly squatted down, and his hands gradually approached Usopp's body. Seeing the Sugar in front of him preparing to give him the final blow, a sense of despair rose in Usopp's heart. This is my end. Do not give up. When Usopp was about to lose consciousness completely, Chen's indifferent voice suddenly sounded in his mind. Time seemed to be frozen, and Sugar's hands were frozen in the air. The smirk on his face also turned into a freeze frame picture. Don't you want to be a pirate like your father? Your father will not give up easily when faced with this situation. Is there any chance for me to make a comeback? Yeah, think about your usual training, think about what your father would do here. 99. Stand up, Usopp, you are the man who is going to be the king of snipers. 35. Lu Chen's voice slowly dissipated. Time resumes its flow. However, just when Sugar's hands were about to touch Usopp's left hand moved slightly. Suddenly, there was smoke everywhere, and the originally dark cave was even more invisible at this moment. As soon as Torpal saw the smoke, he immediately controlled the sticky chain and swung towards Usopp's position. But the feel of the chain coming back made him realize. Usopp is no longer there. Cough cough. This guy, does he still have strength? Sugar can't lock Usopp's position at this time. Can only immediately return to Torpal's side. Torpal spread the sticky chains around himself. Even if he can't see the surrounding situation, these chains can also become an early warning aircraft-like existence. Slaying Mantis Meteor. The sound of Usopp sounded in the smoke, and along with the sound of bursts of air, countless bombs attacked the two at a strange angle. Torpal immediately waved the sticky chains, blocking all the bombs like a windmill. The ensuing explosion shattered the chains one by one. At this time, Usopp still did not stop attacking, and Torpal was sweating coldly with all kinds of nirvana. To protect Sugar, Torpal summons the sticky chains regardless of the loss. Usopp can't be attacked for a long time. Torpal is passively defended. The offense and defense had a delicate balance at this moment. The smoke gradually dissipated. Usopp's figure reappeared in front of the two. At this time, Usopp was already bruised. Torpal's sticky meteor had caused him too much damage. In the follow-up, in order to ensure the frequency of attacks, Usopp has no time to rest at all, and has been constantly changing positions to fire ammunition. The wound that had healed on its own began to burst, and blood flowed out of the wound without money, turning Usopp into a blood man. However, Torpal was not feeling well at the moment. The ability to overuse the sticky fruit left him with little physical strength, and the aftermath of the explosion also caused him a lot of damage. At this time, Torpal couldn't see much mucus on his body, and most of them had been consumed in the defensive battle just now. You guys are really strong. Usopp wiped the blood from his forehead, preventing it from flowing into his eyes and affecting his aiming. If it was me in the past, I might not be able to fight you at all. Sha Tang bit his lip fiercely. In her opinion, it should have been a one-sided battle, but now it is so anxious. But at this moment, a sticky chain suddenly appeared behind Usopp. By the time Usopp came to his senses, it was too late, he could only barely take a step to the left, and it was difficult to avoid a direct hit from the sticky chains. But the stickiness attached to the sticky chain still sticks him firmly zero. Sha Tang was overjoyed, and immediately stepped forward to turn Usopp into a toy with the ability of childlike fruit. There have been too many accidents in this battle, and now she just wants to end it quickly. Usopp gritted his teeth and pulled out a trait bullet. Slaying Fire Bird Star. I saw a fiery red bird appearing along with the launch of the ammunition, and slammed into the sticky chain. It's useless. Your flames can't burn off Torpal's sticky chains in no time. But in the next second, something unexpected happened. Usopp slid straight from the sticky chains to the ground. Sugar's face was shocked, she didn't understand what Usopp had done. It's the flames. He used the heat to remove the stickiness of the sticky chains. Torpal's answer made Sugar stagnate. The distance is almost there. Usopp murmured after a quick look around. He vigorously supported his body, which had reached its limit, and raised his weapon. Usopp aimed at Torpal with great speed, unleashing his own kills in succession. One by one, lead bullets with strange movement trajectories continued to attack Torpal, who was already at the end of the shot. It's not that he hasn't tried to defend with Snot Snatch the White Blade. But the path of the bullets was making him elusive. Finally, in 1.3, when the last bullet hit Torpal, he lost consciousness and his huge body fell to the ground. Must kill. 6 Lien Pitfish. Usopp strikes a handsome pose. Next, you are the only one left. Sha Tang looked at the thin man in front of him, and suddenly a little fear arose in his heart. Usopp approached the Sugar step by step, and the Sugar stood on the spot as if locked, unable to move. Sugar has closed her eyes, and her heart is on the verge of collapse. The sound of a heavy object falling to the ground suddenly startled her. Feeling that the man didn't seem to come to her, her tightly closed eyes opened a slit. Usopp, who was still very imposing before, has fallen to the ground. She was the only one still stand in chapter 377. How could Usopp fall so easily? The sudden change made Sugar a little overwhelmed. Ha ha ha, in the end it really depends on me, Sugar. Lu Chen in the audience also looked helpless. A little bit began to doubt the strength of Sniper King. Laughing out loud in the face of Sugar, Lu Chen couldn't hold on to his face. Lu Chen shouts to the battlefield. Usopp, stand up you boy. Rustling. A gust of wind. The empty battlefield gives people an unusual feeling. Suddenly, Usopp's fingers moved, then he stood up tremblingly. This change made everyone present nervous and exciting. Especially Sugar and Lu Chen. Sugar's face changed suddenly and said. You, haven't you passed out already? 5. Lu Chen seemed extremely happy at this time. Shouting, I knew you kid wouldn't fall down so easily. Usopp moved slowly towards the Sugar. Sugar seems to be frightened by O2, and doesn't make a move. Just when Usopp was about to get rid of the sugar, Toripal, who was in a coma, suddenly summoned two sticky chains to control Usopp's hands. The changes on the field one after another made Lu Chen tremble in the audience. Sugar saw that Toripal woke up in front of her eyes and was also very excited. Ha ha ha, there is help. Sugar turned to face Usopp. Get ready to harness the power of childlike fruit to turn Usopp into a toy. Usopp looked at his controlled hands and smiled bitterly. Hee hee, I'm being controlled again, it's so difficult for me. Just when the power of childlike fruit is about to turn Usopp into a toy, Usopp suddenly kills Fire Bird Star to release his control. Facing both Sugar and Toripal, Usopp also felt that he couldn't care less, and he had to be serious. Must kill. 6 Lien Pitfish. Usopp used his ultimate move right away. Toripal once again faced this trick and hurriedly reminded Sugar. Be careful with sugar, and defend when you hit it. Granulated sugar is no fool either. According to Toripal's hint, he reluctantly blocked the blow. Although blocked, both of them were hit hard. Toripal, in particular, was already seriously injured. Looking back, Usopp looks a little ugly except for his face. Other states seem to be fine. Sticky chains. Toripal's slipper severely injured body once again released several sticky chains and headed straight for Usopp. Usopp kept dodging and moving frantically. Slaying Fire Star. Slaying Special Kerosene. The fire kept attacking the sticky chains. But it doesn't seem to work. An inattentive Usopp was caught in the sticky chains again. Sugar seized the opportunity to suddenly attack Usopp, who was seriously injured and vomited blood. Boy, you still can't do it, come and let my sister solve you quickly. 55. Usopp defended, wondering how to get out of the damn chains. There are not many chains, otherwise it may really have to be explained. Use Sugar and Toripal's attack gap. Slaying Fire Bird Star. Usopp strikes again. The attack freed Usopp again. Hurry up to keep a safe distance and attack again. Slaying Mantis Meteor. Usopp said to himself. The last few attacks, these two goods can really handle it. In the face of Usopp's constant attack, Toripal and Shatang were also constantly defending, and the two sides were evenly matched. Should I say it or not, the two of you are pretty good at fighting, so you can still handle it, Usopp said. Sugar and Toripal looked at each other and smiled bitterly. You know you can't take it anymore. Sugar patted his chest and said. You're pretty good at fighting too, we haven't taken you down yet. The two sides confronted each other like this, and neither made the first move. I don't know how much power the opponent has. After a while, Lu Chen in the audience couldn't wait. Shouted. Usopp, what are you doing? Hurry up and finish the fight. Usopp also knew it couldn't go on like this. Must kill. 6 Lien Pitfish. These bullets are directed towards Sugar and Toripal from different attack routes. Although Toripal also knew how to defend, he was completely powerless. In the end, I still used Snot Snatch the White Blade to defend. The results are predictable. Sugar and Toripal were completely defeated by this blow. Looking at the two falling down, Lu Chen couldn't stop laughing off the court. Sure enough, it has to be you, Usopp. I said you can't fall like this. Usopp, too, exhausted all his strength. With the end of the battle on the battlefield, Usopp defeated Don Quixote family in place of Luffy's camp. With the help of Lu Chen and others, Usopp ended up with glory. You kid is really good, I read it right. Lu Chen said. Are you coming next time? Usopp looked at Lu Chen with provocative eyes. Lu Chen smiled wryly and didn't know what he was thinking. Suddenly, I'm here, I'm still afraid of them. FK, you scared lousy. Usopp scolded inwardly, this idiot. With this battle over, the two sides are also starting to discuss the candidates for the next showdown. Under the constant stimulation of Usopp, Lu Chen took over the next game by surprise. In my heart, that is not a taste. But there was no way to do it, so he took it hard. On the other hand, Don Quixote family's appearance turned out to be spades. Pika, rock fruit ability. Able to fuse rock 210 to increase its attack power and defense power. When you see the audience, Lu Chen's face changed sharply. Why is it him? He can't beat him. Instantly gave the seriously injured Usopp a look that wanted to eat people. Had I known it was his words, lousy would never have ended. I'll do it this time. Jinbei said. Lu Chen readily agreed as if he had caught a life-saving straw. I thought, lousy is just a trainer and not good at fighting. After a selection of Straw Hats and Don Quixote family, it was finally determined that Jinbei will play Pika. Lu Chen walked up to Pika to express his thanks. Jinbei, this Pika dare not deal with it, has a rock fruit. Jinbei Kaido, I am a powerful warrior of the Sea Clan, relying on strength. 35. Don't underestimate him, try not to let him touch rocks that limit the ability of his fruit. I don't want to be invincible. Jinbei chatted with Lu Chen for a while with a little dissatisfaction. But Lu Chen's words also gave Jinbei a little bit of defense, so he wouldn't be so arrogant. As the game begins, Jinbei and Pika also came to the battlefield to prepare for battle. Both are power-type characters, and there will definitely be wonderful friction. Jinbei observed that there were not many rocks on the battlefield. He let out a long sigh of relief and prepared to launch his first attack. Chapter 378 Jinbei vs Pika. Neither of the two strength types used any technique to begin with. It's a collision of power. Jinbei attacked first. One hit, Shenhua Zhengchen, directly attacked Pika. Pika also did not hesitate, and directly met him with a heavy punch. Instantly filled with smoke and dust. The two were on a par in this blow, but Pika did not have the ability to use the fruit. Suddenly, 8 tentacles of rocks protruded from Jinbei's back and blasted away. Jinbei is also quick to respond. He quickly closed his fists for defense and easily resolved the crisis. Pika, you old brat doesn't talk about martial arts, but you actually engage in sneak attacks. 99. Pika laughed. This is the skill of my rock fruit, and it is fair and bright. It was only at this time that Jinbei realized that this opponent was so difficult to deal with. Hastily opened the distance and used the gun wave to continuously attack Pika. Chen was also very satisfied with Jinbei's decision off the court, and nodded again and again. Under the constant attack of the gun wave, Pika could only keep evading. Although the gun wave did not pose any substantial danger to him. But you can't be passively beaten all the time. Under the constant attack of gun waves, Pika finds an opportunity to suddenly use Stone Bite to charge Jinbei directly. In the face of sudden changes, Jinbei did not take much precautions. Being approached by Pika, he suffered this blow. Both sides are now testing each other's strengths. So there were no serious injuries. The trial is over. Jinbei used Tangsawa Zhengchen to punch to the flesh. Hit Pika. This time, the two sides in the fight are winning, but they are fighting more and more vigorously. Pika is no longer hiding the ability to use the rock fruit to quickly turn into a petrified giant. Seeing this scene on the field, Chen and Usopp also widened their eyes and stared at the court. Although Jinbei knew about this skill, he was a little shocked. Jinbei didn't have time to think. Directly use the strong strength of the feet to jump into the air. Use the 5,000 tile Zhengchen to hit Pika's head fiercely. Pika backhand gathered strength to resist. But he still underestimated the strength of this punch and was knocked to the ground. Pika hurriedly turned over and used her huge body to attack Jinbei. Your punch is a bit interesting, you can be regarded as the strongest warrior under the sea. Jinbei kept resisting Pika's attacks while gathering strength to surprise him. The interesting thing is still to come, just wait and see. It's 5,000 tile Zhengchen, again and it's a combo, punching to the flesh. Although Pika's body has grown huge, it still needs to be taken seriously in the face of such an attack. After a few punches in a row, my body couldn't take it anymore. I saw Pika swaying up from the ground. The skin of the whole body begins to darken continuously, and the strength is also increasing. Usopp saw this scene and subconsciously came from a sentence. Blacken. This guy is Blacken. Chen gave him a fierce look. Don't talk nonsense if you don't understand, this is the effect of his rock fruit, and his whole body is armed. 9. Now his strength and defense are increasing. Then can Jinbei still beat him? Usopp starts to worry about Jinbei. Back on the field, facing such Pika, Jinbei was also shocked. There are not so many rocks on the court, how can he improve like this? Pika also has no unnecessary nonsense. Go straight to Jinbei. 1 punch, 2 punch, 3 punch. Jinbei's nose was bruised and his face was swollen, as if his bones were about to fall apart. Suddenly, Jinbei felt a sharp pain in his chest, and he vomited blood from this blow. Jinbei hurriedly defended, and the Tangsawa Zhengchen formed a 360-degree shockwave to resist. When Pika's attack is weak, suddenly, Jinbei used the Shark Wa Zhengchen to hit Pika hard on the chest. This blow also won Jinbei a chance to counterattack. Continue to open up the distance and use the gun wave to continuously attack Pika. Pika was busy dealing with it, and was constantly consumed by the gun waves, and gradually lost her strength. Pika suddenly felt a heat in her throat, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Now both sides have been injured to varying degrees. Pika, in particular, was constantly attacked. Jinbei's condition is also not very good. Continuous attacks make his strength also continue to weaken. Pika can recover herself through rocks. But Jinbei can't. So Jinbei decided to take advantage of it and launch an attack on it. The gun wave interference continues. Jinbei exhausted all his strength. Shark Wa Zhengchen, Tangsawa Zhengchen, 5,000 tile fists. All attacked Pika, and Pika retreated again and again. Even with the bonus of rock fruit, it can't resist all. In the end, it fell to the ground with a bang and returned to its original state. Just when everyone thought Pika lost, suddenly, a powerful energy erupted around it. Pika suddenly disappeared from the spot. Everyone was taken aback. While Jinbei was looking for Pika's location, Pika appeared from behind Jinbei and controlled Jinbei with the special skill of Octomouth. The current Jinbei is restrained by Pika, and his left leg is penetrated. Jinbei became particularly dangerous on the field. Chen's face was gloomy and he almost couldn't help rushing to the stage to save him. Tangsawa Zhengchen, shouted Jinbei. The 360-degree shock wave kept hitting the rocks that bound him. A little bit freed from the bondage. It also did some damage to Pika. Pika sneered. Jinbei, admit defeat and still have a life left. Ha 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 ha. Now that your leg is injured, it's easy for me to solve you. Jinbei did not speak, but continued to use the gun wave to consume the other party. He himself knew that the battle should be over too. But as the strongest warrior in the sea, he couldn't admit defeat. You are a respectable opponent, and now I will send you on the road. Pika said indifferently. With Pika's sudden disappearance, everyone knew the outcome of the battle. Amazing, just when Pika was about to deal with Jinbei. A pair of long arms pulled Jinbei off the field. Luffy rescued Jinbei in time, otherwise it would have been dealt with. With the appearance of Luffy, this battle also declares the victory of the Don Quixote family. This battle is not the same as before. This is a duel between two powers. Most of the time it's a fight of strength. Lu Chen said, "Follow me, I will definitely improve you." Luffy tapped him on the shoulder to keep him from getting discouraged. Compared with the previous battle, the battle of various fruit powers, Usopp gave him a stern look. Unexpectedly, he lost on the road and almost lost his life. Jinbei also cheered up and decided to continue to improve his abilities. After all, you can definitely defeat him without the power of the fruit. Jinbei off the field was a little lost. After all, he always felt that he was the strongest. The effect of this battle is even more shocking. Chapter 379 Lu Chen defeats Don Quixote family 1. Looking at the injured Jinbei, Lu Chen doesn't want anyone to get hurt or die again. Turn around and fight Pika. Luffy is well aware of Lu Chen's strength. Lu Chen's second shot also laid the foundation for the final victory. Pika, you're dying, find a few more people, and I'll solve it at one time. When Lu Chen came up, he opened the fourth form, which was with a quick solution attitude. Looking at the confident Lu Chen, Pika was also frightened by this momentum. Immediately use Stone Bite to attack Lu Chen, and test his strength by the way. It was this blow that made him completely desperate. I saw that under the blessing of the second form, Lu Chen easily took this blow. Then a heavy punch hit Pika hard. Pika instantly lost consciousness. Puff. Pika fell heavily to the ground. Seeing this scene, Usopp was shocked. It turns out that this kid is so strong, he pretends to be a pig and eats a tiger, he really can pretend. 35. Lu Chen looked at the fallen Pika and provoked the Don Quixote family. Is there anyone else? Hurry up and come out together and solve it together. Facing the arrogant Lu Chen, the Don Quixote family is also full of anger. At this time Doflamingo also recovered from the battle with Luffy. Facing the arrogant Lu Chen, Dover 210 Lang Ming understood that he had to play. He must be defeated to defend the honor of the family. Doflamingo's reappearance surprised Luffy too. Luffy snickered as he marveled at Doflamingo's amazing recovery. Because Luffy clearly knows Lu Chen's strength. Facing Lu Chen, Luffy himself was completely abused. Doflamingo, who is now defeated by himself, has no chance of winning against Lu Chen. Doflamingo also knows that this opponent is as tough as Luffy. 5 color strings. Doflamingo took the lead in attacking Lu Chen. The colorless and transparent thread reached Lu Chen's side in an instant. If it weren't for the 5 bloodstains on his face, no one would know what happened. Doflamingo's first attack hurt Lu Chen, which gave him a little bit of confidence. I think Lu Chen is just like that, and the first attack is effective. Lu Chen also didn't have so much nonsense, and directly killed Brother Ming with the strength of the second form. Flame Array. In an instant, a flame barrier appeared in front of Lu Chen. Because the Uchiha Obito character template, held by Lu Chen as the strongest form of theory. This flame barrier is extremely strong in terms of sturdiness and damage. Doflamingo was instantly trapped in the flame formation, constantly being attacked by flames. Bullet String. Brow Line. Shadow Knight String. Doflamingo kept using the String Fruit ability to block, but it was still difficult to defend. When Luffy faced the attack, he only held on for 5 seconds. As Doflamingo's defense weakened, he was seriously injured by the flame circle. Doflamingo still doesn't understand that just one attack makes him overwhelmed. What kind of monster are you and why are you so strong? 35. Lu Chen Danu. You are a monster, your whole family is a monster, I'm just too strong. Usopp was speechless when he saw Lu Chen's proud look. This silly and realistic, so strong, I am the first, Sniper King. Alas, Usopp looked helpless. Then Lu Chen continued to attack Doflamingo, facing Lu Chen's attack. Doflamingo recovers while using the fruit's ability to resist. Lu Chen's attacks are all punch to the flesh, similar to Jinbei's and Pika's fighting style. Doflamingo used the bullet string to constantly block Lu Chen's offensive. On the fierce battlefield, Doflamingo attacked again with the Super Strike Whip. Before the bullet string and then the Super Strike Whip, Lu Chen's situation at the moment is extremely serious. Facing the same situation as Luffy at the time, I saw that Lu Chen directly raised the third gear, and directly grabbed the Super Strike Whip with his hands crossed. ACBD. Then he used his powerful defense to harden his entire body and forcibly ate the bullet string's attack. Lu Chen's right hand has been stained red with blood, and the silk thread is extremely restless in his hand. But he always just held it in his hands. Such attacks were easily taken over by Lu Chen, and Doflamingo also understood his gap. But as the head of the family, no matter what, he will not easily admit defeat. Uehara Hakuba. 35 Doflamingo's first attack after Lu Chen's third gear. At this moment, Lu Chen felt his feet sink. Looking down, I found that the entire ground has been transformed into countless lines by Doflamingo. Immediately, he punched the ground and used the recoil to successfully jump into the air. But at this time, his heart suddenly tightened. Damn. 1,000 arrows piercing heart, feather strike, line. Doflamingo strikes the final blow. The purpose of using Uehara White Wave before was not to control Lu Chen, but to make Luffy jump up by himself. In the air, he is Doflamingo's living target. 0. This plot is a bit similar, isn't it, that you only have these means? 99. Lu Chen said to Doflamingo. Flame formation. Lu Chen uses the fire formation in the third form. In an instant, a flame barrier appeared in front of Lu Chen. The strength of this enchantment is far higher than the flame formation in the second form. Facing Doflamingo's attack, Lu Chen just made a defensive gesture. Did not decide to fight back. Because Lu Chen wanted to see how strong Doflamingo's kill was. Doflamingo also saw Lu Chen's arrogance. Arrogant, in the face of an attack like mine, you just used a barrier to defend. Boy, you will pay the price for your arrogance. Lu Chen didn't have the slightest worry, he was still calm and composed, waiting for the attack to come. With a huge energy fluctuation, Lu Chen's flame formation was broken, and Doflamingo's attack was also diffused. If Lu Chen suffered a small loss this time, his chest was shaken by the aftermath. But relying on the strong defense forced to hold the past. Otherwise, another person will also be injured by this powerful impact. Lu Chen didn't talk too much nonsense, and attacked Doflamingo directly again. Because he knew that Doflamingo had no strength to earn any more. He also wanted to end the battle as soon as possible. At this time, Doflamingo seemed to be insane. Not using the string fruit ability to fight, but the same as Lu Chen. Use your own defense and strength to continuously attack the opponent. The two were really on fire. Chapter 380 Lu Chen defeats Don Quixote family, Part 2. Lu Chen and Doflamingo are fighting each other in a crazy way. But Lu Chen's condition is obviously better. Doflamingo was seriously injured. Coupled with Lu Chen's third form, defense and attack power are also greatly improved. So it didn't take long for Doflamingo to be beaten down by Lu Chen. Doflamingo struggled to get up from the ground. Lu Chen, I admit that I am not your opponent. But, you want to beat me completely, Don Quixote family. Also pay a price. Quote. With a roar from Doflamingo. Gladius, Baby 5, Buffalo, Lao Ji, Dellinger, etc. Dozens of members of the Don Quixote family took to the field. Luffy did not hesitate to see this scene. With Usopp, Zoro, Xiaolu and others, a situation between the two sides was formed. A melee could break out in an instant. Luffy, you're sure to fight at all costs with my Don Quixote family. 99. Doflamingo was a little cowardly, and said angrily. Ha ha ha, this time I'm here to kill your family. Are you a bit speechless asking this now? Quote. Usopp laughs. You're a coward at first sight, surrender and join our straw hats. Ha ha ha, Zoro was eager to try with two long knives in his hands. As the swords were drawn between the two sides, Zoro took the lead in launching the offensive. One move, 3,000 worlds, instantly killed Pika. Pika's sudden death also inspired the Don Quixote family's desire for revenge. They were fighting Luffy's side like crazy. In an instant, the abilities of various fruits flashed continuously. Sticky chains, shore kill, 6 pitfish. Usopp faced his old rival Torapal again. Torapal, your defeated general dares to come up. Usopp, don't be complacent, you got lucky last time, and this time I will definitely beat you. On the other hand, Luffy meets the Sugar Sisters. The two sisters are also unambiguous, and the two sides cooperate tacitly. Luffy couldn't take them down quickly for a while. But at the same time, they have nothing to do with Luffy. The two sides are deadlocked. Zoro is different, one person is alone against 3 people, shouting while fighting. Happy and happy, I like this kind of battle, only the battle can make you stronger. Zoro shoots his sword with both hands and keeps attacking to block. In the face of Zoro's constant attacks, Gladius, Baby 5, and Raoji were also big heads. This fighting maniac, the more he fights, the more excited he gets. It's like he won't feel tired, and the knife is very sharp. Back to the heart of the battle. Lu Chen and Doflamingo did not shoot again. Both sides are observing the scene, as well as estimating the strength of the other side. Lu Chen also clearly understands that Doflamingo cannot be so simple. Otherwise, it is impossible to become the supreme leader of the Don Quixote family. At the same time, Doflamingo also found that, in fact, the most difficult thing in the Luffy camp is this, Lu Chen. After a confrontation between the two sides for a while, Doflamingo called Mabe over to fight Lu Chen together. He wanted Mabe to control Lu Chen first with a ton of crushed fruit. Then use the string fruit ability to kill Lu Chen. It can be said that the idea is good, but it really underestimates the strength of Lu Chen. I saw Mabe slowly drifting into the sky. This scene is also very funny. It's like a big balloon floating up. Suddenly, when floating above Lu Chen, Mabe smashed straight at Lu Chen like a cannonball. Lu Chen raised his hands to support, but still couldn't resist. His legs were smashed into the ground deeply. At this time, Doflamingo seized the opportunity to use bullet string to attack Lu Chen. At the same time, I was afraid that Mabe would not be able to completely control Lu Chen. Also used the birdcage skill to confine Lu Chen inside. Lu Chen is very dangerous at this time, and bullet string hurts Lu Chen from time to time. The current Lu Chen is covered in blood, all caused by bullet string. Although not fatal, it did cause a lot of damage. A golden light suddenly appeared around Lu Chen. Fourth form. Lu Chen chuckled lightly. This state is also used by Lu Chen for the first time, although it has not yet reached the limit. But need this form to solve. It also illustrates Lu Chen's predicament at this time. Luffy's eyes widened when he saw that Lu Chen had activated the fourth form. How strong is Lu Chen? I have never seen this form before. Zoro on the side is also full of surprise, more of a surprise. Lu Chen, you are in a very strong state, let's fight another day. Hearing this, Lu Chen scolded, Zoro, this idiot. 0 katakana middle dot for flowers. Lu Chen's fourth form once again strengthens the strength and defense. Lu Chen jumped out of the ground with force. One punch knocked Mabe above his head into the air. At this time, Lu Chen suddenly found that birdcage was constantly shrinking. Lu Chen subconsciously touched the edge of the birdcage with his hand. Unexpectedly, the arm was scratched in an instant, and the blood flowed. Watching the birdcage approaching itself. Flame array. In an instant, a flame barrier appeared in front of Lu Chen. Because the Uchiha Obito character template, held by Lu Chen as the strongest form of theory. Whether the flame array, under the fourth form, is attacking or defending. It should be the strongest in this area. When birdcage tightens. 0. The position where the barrier is touched is constantly decreasing. The fire attribute of flame array also just restrained the power of birdcage. Not only that, the defensive power of the flame array barrier is also amazing. It didn't take long for Lu Chen to get out of the trapped birdcage. Doflamingo looked in disbelief when he saw this. His birdcage has never been so easily broken through. But it doesn't seem to work for Lu Chen here. Too late to think. Doflamingo and Mabe attack again, using the gravitational ability of Mabe to restrict Lu Chen's movements. Colleague Doflamingo kept attacking, but this time it's not so simple. Lu Chen also raised his vigilance. Now in the fourth state. Mashebase's gravitational effect didn't have much effect on Lu Chen anymore. In the case of close distance, Lu Chen suddenly resorting to wood-style cutting technique. In an instant, Mabe was pierced by the branches protruding from all over. Mabe, though not dead, but also lost all combat capability. Lu Chen looked at Doflamingo. Doflamingo sees seriously injured Mabe. In the end, Doflamingo still recognized the reality. There was a sense of powerlessness in his eyes. At this moment, Doflamingo hesitated. Give it up, I don't want to cause too much slaughter. In the face of such an opponent, he has lost the courage to fight. Stop it all, our family, we lost. 5. Chapter 381 Manufacturing Factory, Zoro's Temper. Stop it all, our family, we lost. When Doflamingo's voice fell, everyone stopped fighting. The end of the battle also marks. The Don Quixote family's reign over Dressrosa is over. Everyone on the field withdrew from the battlefield one after another with their injuries to recover. Returned to his residence to recover from his injuries. After high-level conversations, the Don Quixote family finally reached a partnership with the Straw Hats. The two sides were allies, and the Straw Hats took over Dressrosa's rule. Don Quixote family can still do activities here, but the ultimate dominance still belongs to the Straw Hats. After this matter is settled, destroying Smile's manufacturing plant and completely smashing Kaido's idea of increasing the combat power of Beast's pirates is the current priority. The other side, Nami, Robin, Zoro and Brook are responsible for solving the other troubles of the 210 manufacturing plant for Luo. The trouble of the manufacturing plant is also not small. It's not hard to see Zoro taking part in the Don Quixote family fight. The trouble with the manufacturing plant has been solved. But the process is still very bumpy. We all know. Zoro is a veritable road idiot. After their group set off, Zoro proposed to ask someone to find out the news first. Although we have always felt that it is safer to be together. But this guy Zoro just doesn't listen. On the contrary, it is more convenient for a person to move. In the end, no one could change Zoro's mind. Zoro got his wish and a person inquired about the news. Good guess. Not long after their separation, Zoro lost his sense of direction. After Zoro got lost, he happened to see a pier nearby. Maybe as Yekai, Zoro's brain circuit is not the same as others. He did not care where the boat was going, and ran to the boat. The ship has stopped, there is smoke everywhere. Zoro actually came to Kaido's factory. Following this time with Luffy, Zoro completely ignored Brook's advice. I have started to let myself go. Zoro looked at the wastewater discharged from the factory and said lightly. It's these things that are polluting the water. I ate that meat before, and now I still have a stomachache. 9. Zoro takes action and destroys Kaido's factory. Nami and others on the other side just let Zoro understand the importance of not being exposed. Then a loud noise was heard. Look at the sound, is the direction of the Kaido factory. Nami and Brook and others decided to go and find out. Kaido's factory is also in Kuri. Nami and others are still relatively close. The group of them quickly arrived at the scene of the incident. Brook and Robin and others went crazy when they saw the scene in front of them. It was Zoro who was destroying the factory. At this moment, a roar came from not far from the factory. When Brook heard it, he instantly showed an anxious look. Nami looks at Brook, Robin, et al. Kaido is coming, everyone adapts accordingly. 9. Nami's voice just fell. Robin got involved in the destruction. With the help of Robin, Kaido's factory collapsed in an instant. Another roar came over. You bastards. Kaido looks at Robin and Zoro. This is Lousy's hard work accumulated in Wano Kuni for 20 years, and it was destroyed by you today. Anyway, in this case, it is useless to keep Wano Kuni. Kaido finished. He raised his mace and smashed it down at Wano Kuni. The surrounding stones have been shaken by the air waves and fly up. If Kaido's blow falls, Wano Kuni will be hit hard. Just at this time, Luo shot. Room. The scene where Wano Kuni collapsed did not appear. Kaido's fatal blow. Luo used the ability to transfer to another place. Kaido appeared in the sky above Julie. Cause a group of people to be frightened. The most frightened of them was Holdham. He thought Kaido was here to execute him. After all, because he is too weak. Punched away by Luffy. Lost the face of the Kaido pirates. Such a weak person, Kaido doesn't need it. With the exception of Holdham. Shutenmaru and other pirates also retreated to the mountains. I'm really afraid that Kaido's anger will hurt him. It can be seen from the performance of these people that they are quite afraid of Kaido in Dragon State. Nami and Brook also fought a cold war when they saw the furious Kaido. What did these two idiots, Zoro and Robin, do? Agreed to secretly destroy the factory. This idiot made such a big noise. Facing the furious Kaido, Zoro still looked indifferent. I feel that the sky is the largest and the earth is the same as me. Zoro, who is a fighting maniac, naturally feels that he can defeat Kaido. But everyone knows Kaido's strength. As one of the four emperors, it can be said to be the ceiling of combat power in the pirate world. But not everyone is afraid of Kaido. When Kaido appeared in Burrow Town, Zoro rushed to Beluo Town for the first time. Zoro is the man who was bound to become One Piece. How could he be afraid of the mere four emperors? In Zoro's opinion, whatever dragon Kaido is, still blow him away, still headshot. This is the spirit of Zoro. If you don't have this spirit, facing the four emperors, he might not even dare to move. In addition to Zoro, there were four other people who came with Zoro. That's Luo, Nami, Brook, and Robin. Luo is following Zoro, afraid that he will make trouble again. Robin came with Zoro, Nami and Brook themselves came after. From this scene, it can be seen that the courage of these people is not comparable to others. Kaido drank a lot of alcohol before going boozy in Burrow Town. Later, Hawkins appeared. Tell Kaido Robin and Zoro are destroying the factory. Then Kaido left the town of Burrow. Go to what Hawkins calls Odin Castle. But Kaido didn't fly to Odin Castle. Instead, used Dragon's Breath 1.3 from afar. In an instant, Odin Castle was blown away. This is Kaido's skill after turning into a dragon, and he will be able to breathe Dragon's Breath. Seeing Odin Castle being blown away by Kaido in an instant. Zoro was quite angry at the time. Because Odin Castle has his own companions there. There are other companions too. Anyone who dares to bully his partner will never let him have good fruit to eat. This is Zoro's character. Dare to fight everything for the sake of partners. After Kaido blows away Odin Castle, Zoro uses Gear 2 to jump over Kaido's head. At that time, Luo was still looking for Zoro, but unfortunately Zoro had already acted. Zoro above Kaido. After using the third gear, the giant sword in both hands instantly burst into golden light. And then smashed Kaido's head fiercely. No matter what the four emperors, I will defeat you, One Piece, I'm sure. Chapter 382 Zoro vs Kaido. No matter what the four emperors, I will defeat you, One Piece, I'm sure. Zoro, like a beast, suddenly killed Kaido. In our impression, Zoro never seems to show his full power. But this time is different. Facing the strongest creature Kaido, Zoro can only do his best. Even if Zoro's master, Eagle, came before him, must also fight with all his strength. This time, Zoro used 9 swords against Kaido. The strongest move was named Ashura, drawing sword, King's Play. I have to say, Zoro is still very literary. In terms of naming, he has always been very handsome and very cool. As one of the four emperors, Kaido's strength is beyond doubt. Facing the aggressive Zoro, Kaido didn't have too many moves. A simple block blocked Zoro's attack. Luo clearly knew that Zoro was no match for Kaido at all. So I chose to fight Kaido with Zoro. Because he knew he couldn't persuade Zoro, the stubborn donkey. Luo used his ability to summon several huge soil nails. Falling from the sky to attack Kaido. Kaido still did not evade. Hit by soil nails 02. Everyone sees Kaido being knocked down. There was no joy in victory. They don't believe that Kaido can be defeated so easily. Sure enough, Kaido stood up again, and he flew into the sky in the form of a dragon. Kaido also started to fight back. Luo finally got serious. He has found Kaido's heart. Pierce Kaido's heart with a scalpel. Destroy Kaido's body from the inside. Kaido also felt pain. Zoro ran directly to Kaido's dragon body. Wound Kaido with 2 long knives. Kaido uses his new ultimate to attack the supernova. The new big move is called Indra, all-round attack. Both Zoro and Luo were attacked by lightning. Zoro ran over and asked Luo to assist him. Although Luo was very angry, but still helped Zoro transfer to the sky. A knife cut off Kaido's heat. Zoro is going to use his ultimate. Luo again assists Zoro, transfer Kaido to the ground. Zoro and Kaido are separated. Zoro uses Odin's famous sword Enma. The moves are very powerful. Kaido feels that Zoro's moves are very powerful. It was no ordinary knife, and Kaido hurriedly dodged. Kaido also felt Odin's breath from Zoro. That knife is Odin's. Kaido still dodged. Zoro's moves are really powerful. Kaido didn't dare to be hard. Next, don't watch Zoro and Luo attack Kaido together. They haven't been able to beat Kaido yet. As long as Kaido doesn't drain water, don't care. The two are no match for Kaido at all. Kaido also shows off human beast form, which is Kaido's strongest attack mode. Facing Kaido's strongest attack mode, Zoro and Luo didn't dare to be careless, and they all took out their strongest form. Ashura drawing sword the king's play. Zoro unleashed his strongest move. In the face of this terrifying sword chi, Kaido is not too big. Hastily blocked the terrifying blow with the armed haki. Puff. A sword energy broke through Kaido's defense. Hit Kaido straight on the chest, leaving a deep scar. We all know that Kaido had only one scar on his body before. That is the scar left by Odin. However, this time, after enduring Zoro's strongest attack, Kaido also made it clear that he would have another scar on his body. It can be seen that Zoro is not a simple role. The achievements of his practice in the past 2 years are also outstanding. Chen, the training results of the Straw Hat family are still obvious. However, Zoro's situation is also very worrying. Although Zoro did a lot of damage to Kaido, but his own body has also reached its limit. Zoro tried his best to defeat Kaido, but still can't beat Kaido. After a full blow, Zoro collapsed from exhaustion. Before that, I have to say, Zoro's blood lock is really good. We've seen this since East Blue. Zoro is always on the brink of life and death, and it is also very distressing to watch. Seeing Zoro who was exhausted and collapsed, Luo was also distressed. Luo looked at Kaido with an angry expression. I must beat you today. Luo slowly put the exhausted Zoro aside, then attacked Kaido. As the god-level devil fruit, the ruler of Op fruit. Luo, the potential successor of the Four Emperors, also has rich experience in combat. Room. With the sound of room, a spherical field will expand around Luo. All living things in this field, non-creatures can be easily cut open by Luo and combined at will. During the cutting process, the target does not feel pain and does not bleed. But such a move against Kaido, one of the Four Emperors, is still not enough. I saw that Kaido quickly evacuated Luo's comprehension range. Choose not to confront. In the face of such Kaido, Luo can only use the scalpel to continuously attack from a distance. With the continuous attack of a scalpel, Kaido didn't choose to defend at the beginning. However, there are too many, and finally an energy shield is formed around the periphery. Completely resisted the use of the scalpel. Luo understands that this is not a short consumption of himself. Will only make failure come slower. It doesn't hurt that much for Kaido. So Luo also chose to stop the scalpel's long-range attack. Seeing that Luo's attack had stopped, Kaido also used the power of the half-beast to attack Luo. The seemingly simple attack is very difficult for Luo to 210. In this state of Kaido, strength and defense are the strongest state. It can't be beaten and can't be beaten, and it can't be defended. Only passively beaten. Finally, when Kaido was about to hit Luo with his ultimate move, Zoro on the side suddenly attacked, still the same move. Ashura, sword drawing king's play. Faced with this move, Kaido in the half-beast state did not dare to be careless. Looking at the scar with blood on his chest, Kaido also quickly armed the whole body, the skin instantly became dark. Resist Zoro's attack with double defense. Zoro attacked while pulling up the seriously injured Luo. The two then attacked Kaido without interruption at the same time. Baton. Cut. Slaughterhouse. Luo attacked Kaido with all his strength. I saw that there were not many colliding voices in the battle center, and I remembered. It's like percussion. Zoro was not idle either, all kinds of sword chi kept attacking Kaido. On the other hand, Kaido is not a senseless defense. Because most of the attacks don't break through his defenses. Under the attack of Zoro and Luo, he was still able to handle it with ease. Tornado. I saw Kaido's dragon-like body making a circular rotation like a spinning top. Several giant tornadoes were created. Both Zoro and Luo were involved, and the situation was instantly critical. Chapter 383 Complete the mission if you can't beat it. Zoro and Luo are contained by Kaido's tornado. In tornado units, they have power but are completely incapable of exerting it. Seeing Zoro and Luo in such a critical state, Robin and Nami and others are also unusually anxious. But suddenly it occurred to me. We are here only to destroy the factory. Stop Kaido from empowering the beast's pirates. In an instant, they had a countermeasure. Robin and Brook continue to destroy the factory. At this time Kaido will definitely stop. Nami, let's go. Luo and Zoro are rescued. Destroy the factory together and then leave separately. After taking countermeasures, Robin and Brook got into action in an instant. I saw all kinds of explosions suddenly rise and fall in the manufacturing factory. Kaido was instantly furious when he saw this scene. The hard work of more than 20 years cannot be destroyed in one fell swoop. Then turn around and look for the vandals in the direction of the factory. With Kaido's departure, Zoro and Luo received less tornado pressure. With Nami's help, the two quickly got out of trouble. Nami came to the two and explained the countermeasures just now. But Zoro, the two-headed green, still has to fight. Finally, under the coercion and inducement of Luo and Nami, they agreed to retreat. Then the three acted separately, constantly destroying various equipment in the factory. The furious Kaido was even more angry when he saw this. Because watching these clowns wreak havoc here, you can also inflict massive damage. That would only make things worse for the factory. My own men can't get here in the next time. The more he thought about it, the more angry Kaido vomited on the ground with a mouthful of old blood. After more than 20 years of hard work, I will definitely kill you. 5. When several people saw that the factory was almost destroyed, they quickly evacuated. Since several people retreated separately, they did not know each other's situation. Back to the Don Quixote family. Luffy looked at Zoro in front of him and asked Nami how they were. Zoro looked confused and could only answer truthfully. Everyone looked at him like a fool. So far, except for Zoro, the battle maniac has appeared. The other 4 have no news at all. Luffy worried that they would be revenged by Kaido. It must be very dangerous by then. Then everyone decided to go back to base camp. See if they make it back safely. Usopp's stinky mouth didn't forget to laugh at Zoro before he left. Forget it, you kid, Yekai, you're still a stunner. Zoro reacted in a short time and almost slashed him with a knife. After everyone returned to the base camp, they found that Robin, Brook and Luo had all returned. Only Nami didn't come back. The crowd felt bad. If Nami was killed or caught by Kaido, it would be a bad outcome. Because destroying the factory is unbearable for Kaido. Luffy hurriedly went to find out the news with Chen. Zoro asked to go with him but was refused. Because no one wants to go out to inquire about news with a stunned youth. Luffy was restless all the way. Chen also saw Luffy's worries. Because, friend, Luffy's favorite thing. This is why Chen admires Luffy. Chen comforted, it's alright, Luffy. Nami will be alright. Well, there must be nothing wrong. Luffy, who used to be noisy, suddenly became very quiet. Makes people suddenly very uncomfortable. When Luffy and Chen came to the manufacturing plant, they found it in a mess. If I were Kaido, I'd be crazy by now, Chen said bitterly. When seeing the bounty issued by Kaido, they found that only Nami was absent. At this time, Luffy also reacted. There's a good chance Nami has been caught. But it is not certain where it is, and there is no way to save it. After Luffy and Chen confirmed that Nami was in Kaido's hands. Hurried back to the base camp. Then discussed to save Nami. After a period of discussion, the Jedi decided. Zoro, Usopp, Luo, I and Chen, the 5 of us went to Wano Kuni. Because if too many people go, Kaido will think we're going to war. Afraid that he will hurt Nami. So it was decided that 5 people quietly rescue Nami back. After Luffy and others arrived at Wano Kuni, I started to inquire about Nami's news. Finally, Chen learned that Nami was being held in Kaido's room. After knowing this news, Usopp and Zoro displayed unusual rage. In the room, Usopp and Zoro said at the same time. The other 3 looked at them in astonishment. At this time, they also responded. Originally, I was thinking of secretly rescuing Nami. Now that possibility is gone. After several people's beautiful, finally decided. Usopp, Zoro, Luo, Chen go to the front, Kaido leads out. Then Luffy goes to Kaido's room to save people. Immediately, a few people started planning. For this kind of behavior, Zoro is the most suitable. As the biggest, reckless man, of the Straw Hat Corps, it is best to call the team. I saw Zoro shouting at the door of Wano Kuni Kaido. Kaido, lousy refuses to accept, get out and fight again. Although I know I can't beat it, I have never lost the momentum. After a while Kaido came out, looking at the main characters who destroyed the manufacturing plant. Kaido got angry, instantly switched to dragon form, to kill them. Just when the Kaido family was about to go up to help. Go back, Lousy will kill them with his own hands. A 4-on-1 embarrassing situation was formed for a time. Kaido faced the 4 without a little panic. Suddenly Kaido attacks. Kaido in dragon form unleashes a tornado. The Straw Hat Quartet is also constantly resisting. Except for Usopp, the big injustice, no one else has failed. Watching Usopp go round and round in the tornado. Others also quickly launched an attack to rescue Usopp. Chen directly opened the 3rd form and attacked Kaido directly. Flame array. In an instant, really. A flame barrier appeared in front of Chen. Kaido is also surrounded by this barrier. Although Kaido's defense is amazing. But in this enchantment, Chen's attack and defense are strengthened. At the same time, the temperature of the flame will also have a certain impact on Kaido. In the enchantment, Chen and Kaido fought each other with 1 punch and 1 kick. On the other side, Luffy came to Kaido's room. But I didn't find Nami's figure. Suddenly I heard a sound coming from the wall, it seemed to be Nami's. After Robin saw that Nami had been rescued, Luffy kept looking for the account in the room. Then, with Usopp, I hurried to the direction of the base camp. Hastily took Nami and carefully escaped Kaido's territory. After constant searching, I finally found the location of the organ. I feel very sorry for her. It is also to remind Chen not to fight. After Luffy took out a few guards and looked at Nami covered in blood, chapter 384, The Furious Kaido. Looking at the figures of the few people gradually leaving. Guy instantly realized that something was wrong. Go back to the room quickly. Seeing the fallen guards on the ground. That's how they discovered their true purpose. It's too late to say anything now. Nami has been rescued. Originally Kaido's plan was to use Nami to defeat them one by one. It now appears that this plan has completely failed. If I had known, I should have killed him first, killing one is one. An angry Kaido roared, looking at the pillars around me. Kaido got angry. What's the use of each of you, even a woman can't see it. They are also rather helpless. It was clearly Kaido himself who wouldn't let him interfere in his battles. Now blame them instead. Hawkins was originally forced to join Kaido. Faced with such a lesson now, it is obviously unconvincing. But I still understand why people have to bow their heads under the eaves. On the surface, nothing looks different. In fact, I kept greeting Kaido's ancestors for the 18th generation. Others in front of Kaido. I can only eat this dumb shit. Who made Kaido one of the 4 emperors? 210 has a powerful strength. This is how the world is. Only the strong can get the respect of others. Kaido also gradually calmed down. But when I look back, I think that my efforts for more than 20 years have been ruined like this. And finally caught one and was rescued. I couldn't hold back my anger. Finally decided to give Luffy's Straw Hat family some color. Kaido immediately decided to lead 10 pillars by himself. Always make them spoilers pay. The other side, Luffy hurried back to the family with the seriously injured Nami. Hastily handed Nami to Chopper for treatment. Looking at the seriously injured Nami, all members of the family are also very angry. But at least with Chopper's help, Nami will not be life-threatening. At this time, Chen, Zoro, Luo and Usopp also returned to the family one after another. Luffy and the others also know that Kaido won't let them go so easily. But now Nami's physical condition is not very good. So we can only passively wait for the arrival of Kaido. But they are also prepared. Facing Kaido, although there is no certainty of victory. But ACBD also keeps the family safe. One thing to say, Luffy's intuition is still very accurate. After they discussed the countermeasures, I heard Kaido come here with the family members outside. Luffy, Zoro, good boy, you have ruined my 20 years of hard work, this time you will pay the price. 99. Kaido was furious and stated the purpose of the trip. In the face of such Kaido, Luffy didn't talk too much. If you want to fight, you will fight, where does so much nonsense come from? Ha ha ha, good boy, you still have such courage when you are about to die. To be honest, I really appreciate you, why don't you join us? At this time, Kaido was still very interested in Luffy. Otherwise, Luffy will not be invited. Another possibility is that they want to absorb the strength of the Straw Hat family. Either way, Luffy can't accept. I'm the man who wants to become the Pirate King, how could I possibly turn to you? These words seem to have a kind of magic to Hawkins. As if speaking in his heart. But unlike Luffy, he has surrendered to Kaido. But that doesn't mean Hawkins is completely reliable. As the conversation between the two ends, Kaido could no longer suppress the anger in his heart. Holdham, you go teach this kid a lesson. Hold'em his smile fruit ability is a lion. It is one of the most powerful animals. I thought it was going to be a war. But, Luffy faces Holdham. I saw Luffy's fist keep getting bigger. Defeated Holdham with one punch. Faced with such a result, Kaido obviously did not dare to accept it. Holdham's performance is also embarrassing. Luffy's punch hit the family's momentum. Although Luffy and Kaido's battles were lost every time. But this did not affect the morale of the family. Everyone knows the power of Kaido. It's only natural that Luffy at this age is not as good as Kaido. But Luffy is also stronger. It can be seen from the result of this punch. Hold'em is not a very strong fighter though. But the strength is still there, but it was easily defeated by Luffy. Kaido didn't hesitate to see such a strong Luffy. Fight directly with Luffy. This is a battle between two family decision makers. None of them chose to intervene. I saw Kaido suddenly transformed into a dragon form. Suddenly turned into a beast. Patterns are constantly changing. In the end, Kaido and Luffy started a big fight. Luffy came out on top. At this time, Kaido also found that Luffy's strength has increased. But he himself did not exert himself. This time I suffered a small loss, and it is not so important. After Zoro, Luo, Kid and Kira saw Luffy's strength. Also want to solve the problem as soon as possible. So decided to fight Kaido with Luffy. Because they also found that Kaido is starting to get serious. Luffy hit the humanoid Kaido into the ground with a move of Fist of Karma. Kaido was slightly injured, but the damage is also limited. At this time, Luffy can only break through Kaido's defense. After that, Kaido resisted the attacks of Zoro, Luo, Kid and Kira one after another. In the end, it just got him serious. After being constantly harassed by the Luffy 5. Kaido turns into a dragon again and starts to release AoE skills. I plan to deal with Luffy's 5 in one wave. And Luffy also turned on the third gear and faced Kaido with a hammer. But at this time, Luffy's application of armed colors is still the same as in the second stage. Although it can cause damage to Kaido. But with dragon-shaped Kaido's size and resilience. This damage is still not enough to hurt his vitality. Instead, after Luffy hammered Kaido for a while, the third gear leaked and entered the Haki cooling state. After recovering for a while, Luffy Haki CD cools down. Started with the second and third gears against Kaido. 3. Luffy at this stage has made great progress than before. Not only can you escape Kaido attacks, understand the technique of Conqueror's Haki by yourself. He can barely take the Kaido mace with his armed color. And combined with Kaido's attack, Especially after Kaido turned into orc form and knocked Luffy unconscious with a stick. And recalled Leopard Guro teaching his armed color skills. Armament color has also made great progress, defense and attack have been improved a lot, so Luffy began to fight Kaido head to head. But this level of strength is still not enough for Kaido. Unlike last time, Luffy woke up soon after being knocked out. That's what we see now. Chapter 385 Straw Hats do not talk about martial arts. After Kaido was constantly consumed by Zoro, Luo, Kid, and Kira. Luffy opens armament haki against Kaido. Since Kaido is consumed, and it is still hard to resist. Although Kaido is one of the 4 emperors, his combat power has also declined. So much so that the armed Luffy can also fight Kaido recklessly. Kaido scolded the Straw Hat for not teaching martial arts. The good one-on-one fight turned into a gang fight. Zoro and the other 4 were also a little embarrassed. Especially Zoro, as a battle maniac. He has always felt that one-on-one is the behavior that best reflects his strength. This time I also joined the gang fight, the team. Immediately, I felt my old face heat up. Now the 4 of them have no face to help again. Kaido also saw the concerns of the 4. So don't worry about these 4 guys taking another shot. Start fighting Luffy with all your heart and soul. The cost of being surrounded by armament haki, whether attacking or defending, have been greatly improved. In the face of such Luffy Kaido, I dare not be careless. Hastily use the half-beast state. Also improve their own attack and defense. The 2 scuffled together. One thing to say, Luffy's rubber body is still relatively resistant to hitting. Kaido's seemingly heavy punches always feel soft on Luffy's body. But Luffy is different, every attack hits Kaido hard. Kaido also understood at this time that he couldn't fight against Luffy like this. You have to use your skills to kill him. Tornado. In an instant, a huge airflow formed around Luffy. Luffy is also quick to respond. Hastily grabbed the building on the side with both hands. Just when Luffy was about to be caught in the middle of the tornado. Luffy double struck, pulling his body back. But the damage from the tornado still left Luffy bruised. David Thunder 8 trigrams. I saw Kaido wrapping Conqueror's haki around an iron rod. Hold both hands and attack Luffy with extreme speed. Seeing that Luffy used the rubber windmill. The feet are fixed on the ground, the body is twisted into many circles. After grabbing Kaido, Kaido spun and threw it out. This tactic used defense as offense and successfully resolved the crisis. If Luffy is hit by this blow, may suffer a lot of damage. Kaido didn't succeed with one blow, and quickly changed the way. Transformed into dragon form. Use Fire Dragon Torch Rising Dragon Flame 8 trigrams. I saw a huge fire dragon wrapping his body. Anything touched by the flame will melt instantly. Wrap Conqueror's haki with the head of the dragon torch, and hit Luffy with a powerful impact. Immediately after Luffy was hit, there was an explosion all over his body. Crackling. B************G. B***********G. The sound of various explosions came one after another. It is estimated that this attack will be difficult for Luffy to resist the past again. But the truth is always a little different from what people think. As the sound of the explosion subsided, the picture Kaido wanted to see did not appear. Although Luffy's body was pitch black, he still didn't fall down. Luffy raised his right hand and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Then looked at Kaido coldly. Do you think I've stayed in the same place for so long? I've lost to you so many times, I'm also experienced, okay. This guy seems quite proud to say that he lost. Kaido was a little surprised, but not overwhelmed. Looking at the proud Luffy, he appreciated him even more. For a moment, I really wanted to take Luffy into my family. But he also knew that it was completely impossible. Boy, you're really good, but you're still going to lose this time. Hot breath, bad wind. For a time, the strong wind mixed with flames attacked Luffy again. In the face of the furious Kaido, Luffy himself was also hurt. So this time we can only keep avoiding. The seemingly simple wind and fire are not so simple. Wind blade and fire wound keep attacking Luffy. Although he kept dodging, he still couldn't block the power of the wind. Luffy has no good place all over his body. It's all blood flowing. If this continues, even if he is not defeated, he will bleed to death. Fortunately, Luffy has a blood lock. That is his rubber body. Although it is in a state of flesh and blood, the ability to stop bleeding is still good. Luffy tried his best to tighten his body to stop the bleeding. In the end, he didn't let himself bleed to death. With these tricks from Kaido, the damage Luffy received was outrageous. Has been passively defending. In the past few rounds, Kaido has consumed a little bit. Didn't get any damage. 0 katakana middle dot ask for flowers. Luffy also seized the opportunity to use the rubber machine gun to counterattack. I saw Luffy's hands attack Kaido with great speed. And only hitting one spot, Kaido was in pain. Although Kaido's defense in dragon form is amazing. But hitting the same place all the time can't prevent it. And Luffy's rubber machine gun is extremely fast. It is impossible to live completely defensively. Fortunately, Kaido is surrounded by Conqueror's haki. The injury was not serious. Rubber siege gun. A huge rocket launcher appeared in Luffy's hand and flew towards Kaido instantly. Kaido was hit hard by the shot. With a loud bang. Kaido also turned into the same state as Luffy. All black and blood flowing. But there was no injury. From this you can see how amazing Kaido's defense is. There are only 2 scars on Kaido's body. One is from Odin. The other place is left by the reckless man, Zoro. Although Luffy's attack hurt Kaido this time, but it does not affect Kaido's combat effectiveness. The damage isn't much. When Luffy wanted to deal with Kaido in the same way, Kaido didn't give him the chance. Tornado. This attack is not quite the same as a simple tornado. The role of the tornado is to control the opponent. But this time the tornado was extremely powerful. Luffy came in a rubber daze. The reaction is very fast, constantly dodging the wind blade attack of the bad wind. The two fought for a long time with no result. At this time, Kaido also lost patience. Getting ready to end the fight. I saw Kaido's big move, Fire Dragon Torch Rising Dragon Flame 8 trigrams. A huge fire dragon wrapped his body. Especially Kaido's attack in this state. With the last loud bang, Luffy was also completely out of combat. In the face of this attack, we can only reluctantly follow. Despite Luffy's desperate resistance, but he still underestimated the power of this move. In the end, it was unable to stop the huge dragon head. Luffy was already hurt. Conqueror's Haki charged towards Luffy, wrapping the faucet. It was rubbed hard on the ground. Chapter 386 talking about conditions, not accepting. With the fall of Luffy, this time the battle between the two families has come to an end. Chen dragged the seriously injured Luffy to Chopper. Let Chopper look at Luffy's injury and treat it. The Kaido family is all admiring Kaido's bravery. At this time, Kaido can be regarded as a sigh of relief. But this is far from enough. The pharmaceutical factory that has devoted more than 20 years of hard work has been completely destroyed. He was in a very bad mood. But he didn't want to start a complete war with the Straw Hat family. Because there is still some gap between these members of my own family and the other side. Just because Zoro can hurt himself, you know that Zoro is also a scumbag. Chen looked at Kaido, as if it was the beginning of another battle. But it didn't, because Chen also understands that confronting Kaido now is definitely not a wise choice. Kaido took the initiative to break this, 2-2-3, deadlock. How are you going to make up for my loss, my manufacturing plant? Zoro, this silly boy, is still as impulsive as ever. It's just that your broken factory has never done a good thing, and if it's abolished, it will be abolished. What do you want? Saying that, I'm about to pick up the knife to dry it. Luo and Chen next to him quickly stopped the impulsive Zoro. Chen said, tell me what you think, how do you want to solve this problem? This time, Kaido got a little confused. He really doesn't know how to make up for it. Now the factory is abolished and there is no other way but to rebuild it. But if it is built, the members of the Straw Hat family can't be involved. Or your secrets will be exposed. For a while, Kaido didn't know how to answer this question. Give me the guys who destroyed the factory, and I won't pursue this issue. Impossible. Chen rejected Kaido's proposal without thinking. As long as there is one person in our family, we will not abandon anyone. 99. Although this sentence of Chen is very common. But there was a great response from both the opposite party and his own family. This is how the cohesion of a family comes. Like the Kaido family, if they have 10 high level. But their ideas are not the same. Such a family may seem strong, but in fact there is no cohesion at all. Kaido also felt that his request was a bit excessive. But he really has no better idea. If he went back like this, it would be a shame to be one of the 4 emperors. Kaido is still in a state of anger. And his proposal was rejected without hesitation. If you want to vent the anger in your heart, you can only continue to fight. Kaido also let Hawkins and others forcefully take away the 4 people who destroyed the factory without saying a word. Hawkins hesitated for a moment, and then several people attacked the Straw Hat together. Another scuffle erupted. Chen looked at this sudden change. I didn't expect it either, so I hurried out to stop Kaido. Kaido, are you sure you're really going to go to war, so we lose, and it will only be cheaper for others? 95. How could Kaido not understand such a truth? But the arrow is on the line, and there is no turning back. So I still insist, as long as I hand over those few people, I will go back to Wano Kuni immediately. I promise not to hurt their lives, this is my last bottom line. Chen said to himself, it seems that there is really no room for turning back. Okay, let's fight then. Luo, Zoro and Chen stood side by side, fighting Kaido together. Formed an embarrassing situation of playing more and less. Because Kaido came over, he brought 10 Admiral to Luffy's base camp. Kaido didn't have time to think about it, he fought anyway. Nothing to be afraid of. Chen, Luo and Zoro attacked Zoro together. Because they all know that the only way to end the battle as soon as possible is to take down Kaido. But they also knew that Kaido wasn't that easy to beat. Chen directly opened the 4th form and confronted Kaido head-on. Zoro and Luo kept attacking Kaido from 2 directions. Ruta said that 2 fists are invincible to 4 hands. What's more, there are now 3 people with 6 hands. Kaido didn't expect the attack of the other 3 to be so powerful at first. So it didn't change into dragon form and half-beast form at first. It is to fight against the 3 of them in ordinary human form. Unexpectedly, I suffered a loss from the beginning, and I was caught off guard by the cooperation of Zoro and Luo. Kaido took it seriously, turned on the half-beast form and armed with Conqueror's Haki. David Thunder 8 trigrams, Tornado, Heat Breath. instantly released 3 skills to attack the 3 of them. Luo used room to constantly evade Kaido's attacks. Lu Chen also used the flame array to create an enchantment to protect himself. Only the stupid Zoro is constantly using the long knife to resist the attack. In the end, it was sucked in by the tornado. So Luo used room to rescue him after seeing it. Otherwise Zoro will be seriously injured if not dead. After Kaido's attack, seeing that none of the 3 received any damage. I am also very surprised, Kaido is quite confident in his own abilities. But he didn't know Lu Chen's pervert and Luo Kaihang's same skills. As Kaido's attack vanished, the 4 of them started fighting physically again. Zoro took the lead, killing Kaido with 2 long knives. Ashura, sword drawing king's play. Facing this move, Kaido never dared to be careless, because the last injury was caused by this move. This time Kaido did not choose to confront directly, but avoided the past. At this time, Lu Chen appeared above Kaido's head. Flame array. With the appearance of the barrier, Kaido is trapped in the barrier. There are various fireballs inside constantly attacking Kaido. Kaido also used the dragon form to absorb all the fireballs in the sky. Then, he used heat breath to break the barrier with difficulty. At this point in the battle, Kaido's body can't take it anymore. The fight against Luffy didn't take a lot of damage, but it was still draining. 1.3. Now that there are 3 perverts like this, it's really overpowering. But Lu Chen and the others don't care about him. Still attacking. The Conqueror's haki on Kaido is not as solid as it was at the beginning. Now Kaido really needs to regain his strength. Otherwise, it is really possible to be defeated by these 3 perverts. Wouldn't that be more embarrassing? Then, taking advantage of the gap between the 3 attacks, he used a tornado. After controlling Lu Chen and Zoro, then he started to retreat with the core members of his family. This matter is not over, sooner or later I will still have to find you to settle the account. Looking at the retreating Kaido, Lu Chen and the others were also relieved. I really don't want this kind of war to happen. Luckily there were no deaths on either side, otherwise things would have been more difficult to deal with. Chapter 387 Hawkins Visit. With Kaido and their retreat, Lu Chen and others also came to Chopper quickly. Here they ask about Luffy and Nami. Chopper is worthy of being the medic of the Straw Hat Corps. Neither Nami nor Luffy were life-threatening under Chopper's treatment. Lu Chen also relaxed, but the situation is still very dangerous. It's hard to guarantee that Kaido won't trouble them again. This time it was because Kaido didn't bring a lot of people, so he suffered a loss. Next time wait until Kaido is ready, then not necessarily. Although the current Straw Hat Corps is very strong in personal strength. But no one can completely defeat Kaido, one of the 4 emperors. Even if all his men were wiped out, it is also difficult to ensure your own safety. All of this has to wait until Luffy wakes up to discuss what to do next. Lu Chen organized everyone to clean up the situation. And then took Luffy and Nami back to base camp. Let them rest well. After all, the injury was rather serious. After a few days of recovery, Nami and Luffy have also fully recovered. Lu Chen and the others have not been idle these days. Oh 2. Lu Chen trains Zoro and Usopp to push their limits. I have to say that Lu Chen's training is still very effective. Now Zoro can also open the 3rd form. Zoro in this state has to be weighed even by Luffy. Although Luffy may not have been able to do Zoro. However, the training effect during this period is still very obvious. Especially Usopp, his current strength. With the help of Lu Chen, it can also be controlled. If you can't control it completely. But for Usopp, it's been enough. This also invisibly improved the strength of the Luffy family. After Luffy recovered, he also hurriedly held a family meeting. Listening to Lu Chen's analysis, Luffy also felt that the situation was very critical. Even if we can barely win the war with Kaido now, will also cause loss of personnel to the Luffy Legion. This loss is something Luffy can't imagine. Just when everyone was at a loss, an uninvited guest suddenly came to visit. The arrival of Hawkins makes Luffy feel a sense of crisis. But the declaration of war they thought did not come. Hawkins's visit was to discuss cooperation with Luffy. Hawkins was originally forced to join the Kaido family. This time, Luffy's destruction of the factory gave Hawkins hope. He hopes to work with Luffy. Freed from Kaido's grip through the power of Luffy. Colleagues help Luffy's family through this disaster. It's like the best of both worlds. Hearing Hawkins' proposal, Luffy also fell into thinking. Because if they had Hawkins' help, then the combination of the inside and the outside should be able to destroy Kaido's family. But whether Hawkins can trust this needs to be considered. Hawkins also saw Luffy's hesitation. You don't have to worry about my sincerity. I was also forced to join Kaido. If I hadn't been able to beat him, I would have run away. After a moment of hesitation, Luffy chose to trust Hawkins. Because he really has no better way now. The two finally reached this collaboration. With the addition of Hawkins, Luffy and the others decided to surprise Kaido both inside and out. Kaido will not give up easily against the Luffy Legion. When the next attack, Hawkins' surprise, will be able to achieve good results. After Zoro listened to the whole process, I feel that Hawkins is a villain and is unwilling to cooperate with him. Everyone is helpless, but there is no way. No one can shake the idea of a stubborn donkey. Luffy gave Zoro a burst of output. Zoro is so tired of being ed. In the end, he decided to cooperate with him, but he was unwilling to be with Hawkins. The final plan has been drawn up. Hawkins also quickly returned to Kaido's side. Just in case disappearing for too long raises Kaido's suspicions. 5 days later, sure enough, Kaido attacked the Luffy family again. This time Kaido is better prepared. It can be said that he invaded the nest and came with his little brother. But the main battle strength depends on Kaido and the others. Looking at the mighty team, Luffy and they left early as expected. But still taken aback, this brings all the power that can be used in the whole Wano Kuni. As far as Team Kaido is concerned, the root of Wano Kuni is in the manufacturing plant. Now the manufacturing plant has been destroyed. Wano Kuni is something that is optional to him. This time, I came with the mentality that I must kill those guys. So this battle must be inevitable. Luffy suggested to Kaido that, in order not to cause extensive damage. The Kaido family and Luffy and others each played 10 major battles. If Kaido loses, this is the end of the matter. If Luffy loses, he will join the Kaido family, or hand over those guys. For Luffy's proposal, Kaido refused without thinking. Because this time with so many people, why should I fight you fairly? Zoro came out with a knife and faced Kaido with a burst of mouth cannon output. Aren't you afraid of losing, old guy? Sure enough, the older you get, the less courage you have. Kaido. IFK, you brat. Zoro continues to ramp up output. If you don't let young people tell you how to fight, you should retire when you are old. 55. What Kaido hates most is that 223 others say he is old. This time and again stimulation finally made him lose his mind. In the end, with a fever, he agreed to Luffy's proposal. Everyone looked at Kaido and Zoro in disbelief. I feel that Zoro's IQ is not so high, and I am also worried about Kaido's IQ. But Kaido also put forward his own views. 10 people fighting for too long, and it's pointless. So in the end it was decided that 3 people would play. Kaido decided that Kaido, Hawkins, and Peggy Wan would play the 3 of them. Luffy decided that Chen, Luffy, and Zoro would play. Now both sides have confirmed the personnel to fight. Now the discussion is about who hits whom. In the end, it was decided that Chen would play against Kaido. Hawkins versus Luffy, Peggy Wan versus Zoro. Such a melee turned into a ring match. The battle between the two sides is imminent. The first is Kaido versus Chen. These two can be said to be the highest fighting power on both sides. Kaido didn't hesitate, just wrapped Conqueror's haki all over his body. Their battles are also related to the morale that follows. Chen is surrounded by golden light. Chen didn't talk nonsense, he directly turned on the 4th gear. Chen in the 4th form is very powerful on the surface. Unlike armament haki, this glow gives a powerful feeling. Chapter 388 The Duel of the Strongest on Both Sides, Kaido's Chen. The battle between the two sides is imminent. Chen and Kaido faced each other for a long time. They all know that each other's strength is very strong. They don't want to be the first to be found by the opponent. In the end, Kaido couldn't hold back, as one of the 4 emperors. He also has his own dignity. You can't keep fighting like this. 3 worlds, Yin Luo. I saw Kaido jump into the air, spinning the iron rod. Wrap the Conqueror's haki around an iron rod and attack downwards. Chen looked at Kaido who was attacking. Move quickly. Dodged the attack. Chen's fire array was completed instantly. Flame formation. In an instant, a flame barrier appeared in front of Chen. Because the Uchiha Obito character template, held by Chen is the strongest form of theory. This flame barrier is extremely strong in terms of sturdiness and damage. For Kaido, the usual high temperature has no effect on him at all. But Chen in 4th gear uses this trick. It would still hurt him a lot. Then Kaido also switched to beast form. Use the huge body to create a tornado. For a time, the fireballs in the enchantment were gathered together by the tornado. Then there is a huge burst of energy. In an instant, the enchantment of the flame formation was broken. And Kaido was also blasted out by this force. However, Chen suddenly appeared at Kaido's feet. Fire-style flurry, the mighty storm and the great fiery serpent that followed. It was too late for Kaido to make any evasive moves and was knocked out. This simple start made Kaido suffer a little. Sure enough, Chen's strength is still very strong. Kaido did not expect that Chen would have such a fierce attack. Because I have never seen Chen take action. All the losses this time have been rewarded. Chen likes quick attacks, right? Kaido switched from beast form to human beast form. Kaido in this form, with the dexterity and rapid movement of the human state. It also has a variety of attacks in the form of beasts. It is a balanced form that is very suitable for combat. Kaido utilizes the agility of the human beast form. Constantly attacking Chen. Every time you make a move, it is very fast. Chen also failed to fully defend. If it weren't for the golden color outside of the body that boosted Chen's defense. At this time, Chen must have been torn apart by Kaido's dragon claws. Despite this, Chen was still dripping with blood. Although these are skin injuries. But it still looks scary. Chen had been passively defending and suddenly seized the opportunity. Wood-style cuttings. At one time, countless branches attacked Kaido. The scene that was penetrated in the imagination did not appear. After the branch touched Kaido's body, couldn't penetrate inside. Luffy, who saw this scene, was also very surprised. Luffy understands the power of this move. The last time I didn't hold it for 5 seconds under this move. It seems that there is still a big gap between myself and Kaido. Lu Chen didn't even want to understand. Even if Kaido's defense is amazing, it's not like that. For the power of this move, Lu Chen is still very confident. Without thinking about it, Lu Chen launched an attack here. Fire-style fireball technique. I saw an endless fireball suddenly appear behind Lu Chen. Then as if conscious, one by one, they smashed towards Kaido. Kaido snorted coldly, used the agility of the human and beast form to constantly avoid attacks. At the same time quickly approaching Lu Chen. Then he punched Lu Chen hard in the face. Kaido, do you know that you don't slap people in the face? Lu Chen was angry, this punch in the face really made him lose face. Lu Chen started to explode. Fire array. This time the flame array is obviously much stronger than the last time. Fire array is matched with fire-style fireball technique. In an instant, the battlefield was engulfed by flames. Kaido also used tornado, this time to gather fireballs. But this time the tornado was engulfed as soon as it appeared. For a while, Kaido could only rely on his body to keep resisting. At any time the end of the fireball, Kaido's figure is also exposed. At this time, Kaido's clothes were all burnt. It's like grinding carbon. At this time, Kaido also found his embarrassment. He quickly found a piece of clothing and put it on. Kaido was still injured by this blow. Because the skin is too dark, many people do not find it. But Kaido knew it himself. Kaido also knew that he couldn't go on like this any longer. After arranging his image, Kaido reincarnated in the form of a beast. I saw Kaido transformed into a huge blue dragon flying through the clouds. In this state, it can cause various natural disaster-grade attacks. Breath of the Heat, Thunder 8 trigrams. I saw a breath shaped like a giant dragon attacking Lu Chen. Lu Chen hurriedly dodged. Although he escaped the blow, he was hit by an iron rod wrapped in lightning and was instantly knocked down. Lu Chen, who fell to the ground, spit out a mouthful of blood despite the severe pain. Lu Chen suffered this blow and was seriously injured. But Lu Chen's physique was not enough to completely lose his combat power. Upon seeing this, Kaido attacked again. I hope that in the case of Lu Chen's injury, give him the final blow. But he himself ignored it, he was also injured. In addition, this time, I forcibly transformed myself into a beast, using skills. Suddenly a mouthful of blood spit out from Kaido's mouth. Kaido is also automated into a human form. At this time, both of them were hit hard by each other, which was equivalent to still at the same level. Lu Chen endured the pain and rushed directly to Kaido in fourth gear. Kaido wanted to hit Lu Chen hard when he was injured. The same goes for Lu Chen. Neither of them used skills. Respond to the opponent with a simple fist attack. Kaido in human form is still struggling to face Lu Chen in the fourth alright stage. After all, the defense and attack power are not as good as Lu Chen. In the end, Kaido reluctantly switched to the form of a human beast again. Only in this form can he really fight against Lu Chen's body. I saw the two of you punch me and punch me. The fist confrontation made a bang bang sound. The two fought to the end, both exhausted. The two of them each finished their last punch and fell to the ground. With the fall of the two, the battle is over. Due to previous Hawkins' proposal. When this battle is over, the next one should begin. This is the beginning of a battle whose outcome is known for a long time. But both fell down. In the end, the game could only end in a draw. The next matchup is Luffy versus Hawkins. But it can't be too obvious. The two came to the stage, looked at each other and smiled. The outcome of this battle is obvious. Chapter 389. Knowing the result of the battle, Luffy vs Hawkins. Although Luffy and Hawkins haven't met a few times. But the news from Luffy from all over the world was overwhelming. Therefore, Hawkins has a certain understanding of Luffy's character. Luffy's way of doing things is as long as you don't move my buddy. I don't want to fight with you. Because Hawkins knew who Luffy was. Therefore, Hawkins also appeared to be in danger when facing Luffy. And Hawkins has also reached an agreement with Luffy. So this battle is not a life and death duel. But it has to be real to gain Kaido's trust. Before fighting Luffy, Hawkins first turned on the transformation. Summons the Scarecrow. Some friends say that this is the ability to awaken. I don't think so. Maybe like Daifuku, can summon other creatures to fight. And Hawkins' skill is also a summon, rather than awakening ability. In addition, because of its unique ability, let Hawkins gain immortality. Others can help him resist the attack. Hawkins' battle can be said to be the most bizarre among pirates at present. After he was all ready, not in a hurry to fight Luffy Zoro. Instead, choose to draw 223 cards first. As long as you get a good card, Hawkins will strike, otherwise he will just sit there and wait. When his men long for Hawkins to fight. Because I haven't drawn a good card, I haven't acted. The first time Hawkins drew the infighting card. This can be said to be a pretty bad card. This also took the lives of Hawkins' men. As can be seen from Hawkins' behavior. His battles are all based on cards. Only if the cards are good, he will fight the enemy. If it's bad, either run away, or be forced to consume one's own life. This kind of battle that all depends on the card. There are also fatal flaws. Some friends may wonder. Why does Hawkins rely on cards to fight? According to Hawkins, cards mean a lot to him. If he faces Luffy alone, It is absolutely unwinnable, but if he can gain power beyond himself, then it's still possible to beat Luffy. The function of the card is to provide him with power beyond himself. That's why Hawkins relies on cards to fight. Luffy also knew that the fight with Hawkins had to go all out. Only in this way can we gain Kaido's trust to a greater extent. Hawkins has not been able to draw a suitable card. Been there in a daze. This made Luffy feel particularly speechless. Finally, Hawkins drew the attack card. Hawkins smiled evilly. From Luffy's point of view, he thinks that this guy has the possibility of mutiny. Luffy didn't hesitate too much. Directly up is the rubber machine gun. The arm is like a motor is installed. Puff puff puff. He kept hitting Hawkins in the face. To be honest, it's a bit unkind to do so. As the saying goes, hit people without slaps in the face. This thing is to keep attacking people in the face. Hawkins' attack power is enhanced by cards. But there is no defense. For a time, you can only fight against it with an attack. But Luffy's attack was too fast. In an instant, his nose was blue and his face was swollen. Hawkins doesn't always have a rubber body like Luffy, able to absorb certain attacks. So this time was also beaten and suffered some injuries. But it's innocuous, but the image is not very good. Hawkins was also a little angry at this time. Not because of being beaten. It's because Luffy doesn't talk about martial arts. Hawkins, using the passive skill, aim, to lock on Luffy. Then launch an energy ball, attack. I saw that suddenly countless energy balls kept attacking Luffy. Luffy used the flexibility of his body to keep dodging. Suddenly, Luffy takes advantage of rubber maneuvers. Suddenly appeared above Hawkins. ACBD. Then wrapped Hawkins tightly with his body. Hawkins was tightly controlled by Luffy. For a while, I didn't know how to fight back. Hawkins whispered to Luffy. You kid is serious, haven't you already said it? At this time, Luffy also found that he had gone too far. You pay attention, I will relax when I look back, and you take the opportunity to break free. After negotiating, Luffy relaxed in time. This is Hawkins using armament hockey to break free for a while. When Luffy saw this, he opened the distance in time. Then used the rubber pistol output to Hawkins. Because Luffy didn't start second gear at this time. So this attack didn't do much damage to Hawkins with armament hockey. Hawkins also saw Luffy keep his hand. However, such a battle cannot fool Kaido. A more powerful attack is required. The fight must also be intense. Hawkins hurriedly raised to second gear. Shadow of Demons. I saw Hawkins transform into a giant scarecrow with 5-inch nails and attack Luffy. Luffy saw Hawkins change and understood what he meant. It is also in a hurry to open the second gear. Use the rubber rocket launcher. I saw Luffy stretched his hands back and then stretched out his hands to attack Hawkins. Both of them attacked each other with very powerful attacks. In an instant, a huge explosion occurred on the field. This is the energy confrontation generated by the collision of the shock waves generated by the attack when the two are in the second block state. It can be seen that both of them have used their true strength. This blow consumes both of them. So neither of them chose to continue to launch remote attacks. The two scuffled together in an instant. But Luffy's body is still stronger than Hawkins. Because of the Luffy rubber fruit, it can absorb some physical damage. So in the process of this physical confrontation, Hawkins still suffered a lot. After Hawkins' attack power is increased by cards. It is also a huge increase in strength. Even if it hits Luffy, it can't be fully absorbed by the rubber body. Luffy also took some damage. The battle between Hawkins and Luffy went on for a long time. Because neither of them ever wanted to fight each other with their lives. All moves are relatively soft. It's time for Luffy to use his real power, and it won't go on like this. Luffy's hands kept attacking Hawkins. Hawkins whispered to Luffy again. Rubber machine gun, rubber siege gun. When Hawkins desperately blocked Luffy's rubber siege cannon, instantly thought of Hawkins. Because Hawkins might really be upset. Luffy also understands. This time, I didn't choose to attack the face. The state of the third gear started in an instant, and armament hockey surrounded the whole body. Chapter 390 The arrogant Zoro failed. One of Luffy's rubber siege cannons instantly thought of Hawkins and hit him. Hawkins didn't react for a while. Seriously, I got this shot. The power of Luffy's cannon is relatively large. Hawkins was also severely injured after being attacked. Hawkins, who was seriously injured, also went downhill and pretended to be incompetent. This game just ended in a blur. Luffy won the match with little effort. With Luffy's victory, the pressure on the Kaido family's side instantly doubled. Because Kaido and Lu Chen were tied, the defeat of Hawkins this time put the Kaido family at a disadvantage. The third game is especially important. In this match, Peggy Wan played against Zoro. According to the comparison of strength, Zoro's strength is stronger than Peggy Wan. This fight should also be taken by Zoro. Peggy Wan has the same fruit power as Kaido. Dragon fruit, ancient species, Spinosaurus form. Peggy Wan in this state will also increase attack and defense. But it's still incomparable to Kaido's fruit ability. This can only be regarded as the most basic dragon form. Under normal circumstances, Peggy Wan would not be Zoro's opponent. Because from Zoro was able to break through Kaido's defense. The damage to Kaido's body can be seen. Zoro's strength should not be on the same level as Peggy Wan. As the battle begins, Zoro is still relatively confident, directly surrounding the body with armament haki. And Peggy Wan also took it seriously. As soon as it came up, the dragon form was directly activated. I saw that Peggywan instantly turned into a huge ridgeback. Peggywan also understands the gap between himself and Zoro. So I used the strongest form as soon as I came up. Otherwise, you may be killed in seconds. Zoro drew his 2 knives and attacked Peggywan. Peggy Wan defended seriously, but after this confrontation with Peggy Wan seems to have found some problems. Because Zoro's attack is not as powerful as expected. He easily defended himself. Peggy Wan took the opportunity to hit Zoro on the shoulder with a dragon claw. With the blessing of armament haki, Zoro also felt a numbness in his shoulders. 3 swords, ghost slash. I saw Zoro holding knives in his left and right hands in a crossed posture. With a slash that seemed to catch Peggy Wan. The 3rd knife was used to block the gap through which Peggy Wan escaped. Faced with this trick, Peggy Wan has nothing to do. You can only do your best to adjust your state to the best defense state. For a time, armament haki and the defense in dragon form are composed in an instant. Zoro's attack followed, although Peggy Wan defended desperately. But there are still 3 terrible scars on the body. Blood flowed directly from the outside. Peggywan's attack method is mainly melee combat. But when you meet Zoro, you can't play your own advantages. Because Zoro's attack method is also melee. And Zoro's double swords and the missing 3rd sword are really a big threat. Peggywan was angry but there was nothing he could do. The two fought again for a while. Peggy Wan finally found out that Zoro's strength was nothing compared to his peak. Zoro must have been injured, and seriously injured. Otherwise Peggy Wan wouldn't have been able to fight him for so long. As the battle got longer and longer, bloodline began to appear on Zoro's chest. Seeing this, Peggy Wan couldn't help laughing. Ha ha ha, Zoro boy, so you have a wound on your body, no wonder the attack is like tickling. Zoro's face also began to look bad. I didn't expect myself to be mocked by this kind of rubbish. For a time, he attacked Peggy Wan even more frantically. Ham, 3 swords, Purgatory Ghost Slash. Ghost Chi, 9 swords, Ashura, 1 missed silver. Zoro unleashed his absolutely powerful moves one after another. But the picture of solving Peggywan in the imagination did not appear. Peggy Wan actually blocked such an attack. There is also a reason for this. Because Zoro's ult in this state is completely underwhelming. After Peggy Wan resisted the attack, it is also fast approaching Zoro, constantly attacking Zoro's chest with dragon claws. Deal damage to Zoro again. After Zoro was attacked by Peggywan. The pain in the chest can't be suppressed anymore. I saw blood pouring out like no money. Zoro turned into a blood man in no time. No wonder people say that Zoro has opened the lock and hangs blood. A normal person with such a serious injury would definitely not be able to fight. But Zoro remained where he was, glaring at Peggy Wan. Came to Zoro to receive such a serious injury. Luffy, Chen and the others were also worried. At the same time, I also think Zoro is too stupid. If you are injured, you have to accept this kind of battle, and you don't say it. As Peggy Wan attacked again, Zoro is also protecting his chest from being attacked. In the case of protecting himself, he repeatedly attacked with a knife. But my condition is so bad. Normal attacks do not damage Peggywan. This also made Zoro understand his arrogance. Now only by persevering can we win. But Luffy and the others didn't want to see Zoro being consumed alive on the court. Can only face Zoro on the stage to make him quickly admit defeat. But Zoro's dignity would not allow him to do so. Watching Zoro keep being attacked by Peggy Wan. Luffy and the others are really about to die of worry. Peggy Wan also saw that Zoro's state could not last too long. Just charge up and attack Zoro with a lot of power. In the end, Zoro couldn't resist. He fell violently to the ground. Seeing that Peggy Wan wanted to go up to make up for the knife. Luffy stepped forward to stop him, and brought Zoro to Chopper for healing. Chopper is also very helpless. How many people who are dying like this have been saved in the past few days? A group of people are not worried. Also thanks to Zoro's better physical fitness. Otherwise, Zoro would have no need for treatment. With Zoro's fall, the battle also came to an end. In Game 3, the Kaido family won due to Zoro's arrogance. Looking at the 3 rounds. A draw, both sides win a game. Overall it's a draw, no one expected this situation. Now the 2 sides are in a stalemate again. Kaido was not in a good state at this time. After all, he was seriously injured in the battle with Chen. Just when Kaido was about to withdraw first and talk about it next time. Hawkins couldn't sit still, quickly gestured to Luffy, thinking this was an opportunity. Luffy also affirmed Hawkins' proposal. Then Hawkins took advantage of Kaido's retreat. Suddenly attacked Kaido. Kaido didn't expect it, and couldn't defend himself. In an instant, I felt the breath of death.